And it was not sorrow leaking from the priestess, but something like buzzing excitement. Something that made Nesta whirl on her heel and stride for the pillar. A name had been scrawled on the sheet. One name in bold letters. One name ready for tomorrow's lessons. Gwen. Hi, and welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Liesl.
Hi, and welcome back to episode 5 of A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas.
Yay.
Welcome back.
Just a precursor to everything before we get into it. I am sick. You can probably hear it in my voice, even though Tabby's gonna do her best to cut it all up and make it sound pretty. So just setting that out there that I sound like a croaking frog.
Yeah, because she has to take care of children, and children carry diseases.
Especially when I'm not even with them all day, but it's just like, it's fine. That's the perks of becoming a teacher.
The perks.
Wait, not the perks.
Also, to be clear, I am very pro-teacher, and I loved all my teachers, and I respect all teachers, but fuck if I ever was going to be one. My parents tell me all the time I would be a good teacher, and I'm like, no, don't got the patience for it. I know for sure.
You have patience with adults, not children.
Yeah. No, them little fucks can get.
Speaking of little fucks.
Yes, I just want to remind everybody we are explicit, and especially for this episode, I cannot wait till we get in this episode. We will be going through chapters 18 to 24, so there will be sex. Be wary of those little fuck listening ears, please. Or if you don't care, fine.
Yes, and definitely make sure you have water with you, because everything's going to be pretty thirsty around here.
And then especially after talking to John last episode, I listened back to the graphic audio to make my notes. I was sitting here like blushing red. Oh my god. I kind of forgot how it was, and then I'm glad we talked to him early on.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if we talked to him later, I feel like it would have been worse.
Talk to him before the sex.
Yes, before the... Well, technically there is sex, but not penetrative sex.
Right.
Anyway.
We get into it.
Previously on A Court of Silver Flames. Yeah, so we're basically beginning Nesta's journey upward, ? Her descent, because she was going down before, and now she's kind of going up. She's training every day. She's going with Cassian. She's actually doing what she's supposed to. Mm-hmm. And we got a lot of lore dumps. We learned about the first gods, or whatever the things that Cassian fought. They did a lot of, they bonded.
Yeah.
They it seems like after every training scene there was an example of opening up a little bit, but he's always a little nervous to open up to her because he thinks the knives are going to come out at any point. And obviously she feels sad about that.
Yeah.
But also, of course that's going to happen because that's how you've been acting. Mm-hmm. She got closer with Gwen in the library doing her work down there. I would say work, yeah.
Doing her job.
Her job. I think the big thing mostly last time was, first of all, their tension. Their sexual tension started to go out because they had the moment with him looking and getting her riled up and mad, and he saw her silver flame eyes. Yeah. And he's just, how do I say this politely?
Don't.
Came 3 times in the night.
Yeah.
He had
once more in the morning.
He jerk himself off because he's like, oh my god, she looked at me.
He looked at me with those devilish eyes and I could not sleep.
Yeah, and then she did the same thing, and so...
and they don't know it.
No. And then, of course, her and Elaine had her spat.
Oh, yeah.
Their spat that they had where, she's like, I thought you were getting better. And she's like, fuck you. Yeah. Get out.
I mean, they both had pros and cons during that argument, but...
Yeah.
Even just looking at it objectively...
Even though we're not the biggest fans of Elaine, that didn't help us any. Yeah. But so I screwed the audience over by ending right as she's going down the stairs and then the subsequent chapters afterwards. So I'm so sorry. But to be fair, for the people who don't know this book, they wouldn't have known that there's something happening. The only reason we know that is because we read it.
Right.
So it's a terrible place to stop because we know what the scene is afterward.
Yes. But at the same time, the people, whether you've read it or not, we've not posted an episode for a while. They've kind of been on a cliffhanger and never ending.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. We're getting back to it. The con kind of messed up my scheduling in a good way, in the sense of we did a lot of promotion and I'm really glad of it, but also I had to get back on track. And that wasn't happening. So also taking time for myself.
Taking time for yourself is important.
Yeah, you need to take it where it is. And I don't usually take time for myself. So
no, you don't.
I kind of forced it. But anyway, let us get right back into it with Nesta going down the stairwell.
Yes.
Once again, she is going down this. Now all of a sudden she's saying red stone.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I didn't think that she was mentioning that before. But I was like, now all of a sudden I'm getting it. Because she keeps bringing it up every time the stairwell scene happens. So
I know, I often forget that the entire House of Wind is built into redstone cliffs. And I often forget that. Yeah,
because, I got the redstone of the training ring, but I almost didn't. But we didn't do that until we looked. This isn't an important detail.
No, it's
I'm
not.
sorry we're starting out with such like a stupid detail, but I was like, oh, actually. So as she's descending, again, you know how much we love these stairwell scenes. Because again, like I said before, they very much mirror her, the motivation at the time and her journey. It's like a direct parallel. The farther she goes down, the better she gets, and the less she does, the more she's receding.
Right.
Again.
Right. When she does have those moments of receding, like those are the moments when she's like, I need to get out of here. I need to go get some wine. Find somebody that can give me wine and probably sex too, but not from the hunk that's living next door. But then when she goes down further, that's when she's not focusing on getting out of there. She just needs to think.
That's true. I think there's like a juxtaposition there that you're good to bring up. I'm really proud of her. Her legs start to wobble at stair 103, but then she makes it to 1,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's 900 steps with wobbly legs.
That's 1/10 of the way. That's at least 10%.
And then she has to go back up. So technically 2,000.
20%. Yay! Yeah. Having to go back up would be the problem for me. Yeah. Going down would not be my issue. Going back up.
I would literally have to drag myself.
If I make it all the way down, can Cassian hot fly me up? If I want that to be the reward. If I make it all the way down, can you fly me back up?
Hey, can you go wait at the bottom so that I can fall into your arms and you can fly me back up?
Yeah. And then we go have sex.
That's the real reward.
But I love how, though, when she leans against the wall this time, she feels like it has a heartbeat. Which is unlike the other times. Because, she also hasn't pinned herself up against the wall in a way where she would listen in.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, how do I say, affirming us that this house is alive.
It's planting the idea that this house is alive.
Yeah, it's almost cementing that in further. Because it has a heartbeat and because it's starting to sound stronger as she's going down.
Cementing it.
Okay, well, I found it when I wasn't thinking about it. Exactly. Okay.
So we'll just...
But yeah, so she kind of just begins going upward again. And I love how it's explained that her head is emptied by the time she makes it back up to the top. Mm-hmm. Like you were saying that as she goes down, it's a way for her to kind of get away. Because the thing is, she didn't want to talk to Cassian at that moment because she would have said the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And it's almost like she took a hike and then came back and it's like, okay, now I can face you.
Yeah.
At least. Though I do love the detail of she had to stop 5 times before she made it up to the top, which is a mean move.
Yeah.
In DC, I used to live on the 6th floor of my building, and when the 6th floor is not bad. There were poor bastards who lived up on the 25th.
And usually, normal staircases have about 13 steps.
I know. So it wasn't that bad, but also I wasn't in shape really at the time, and so going up, God, I gotta stop. But guess who was waiting for her at the top of the landing? He has not moved this whole time. He is just waiting for her. Don't want to spar with you. Good night. He doesn't take no for an answer this time. Stops her in her path. Wings sprawled out like, you're not getting past me. And he's like, what set you off? I want to know. What's wrong?
He wants to know what he can do to make it better.
And I like how he doesn't say, what did you say? It's what set you off. Yeah. Was it something Elaine said? It wasn't immediately what did you do?
Sorry, a little brief thing. That's something I've learned as, trying to deal with children, getting to deal with children when they're little arguments. Simple things where it's okay, one of them is upset, one of them is sad. So it's saying what happened or what are we feeling rather than leading the witness. So it's did this student do this, for example, or did they do this, or what did you do in response rather than do that, just have it very base, very neutral, which I think is, again, as we've said before, Cassian is he's very emotionally intelligent.
Yeah. Well, and obviously she says everything's wrong, which,
right.
Yes, okay, but can we lower that down to what affected you in this moment?
Yeah, what specific thing?
Mm-hmm. Though classic deflecting, she doesn't answer that question and she's like, why won't the priestesses come to train? okay, at least you're worried about this. I guess he's happy in this way. Because I love the line that she says of, they've been down there for thousands of years, and they haven't made progress with their trauma. Mm-hmm. They're kind of just been hiding, which again, I don't think she's like blaming them for that, but she's like, what choice do I have to make it through this, if none of them have really faced what has happened to them?
Right.
And, what a line.
Right.
But Cassian does... He fucks up bringing up Feyre during this, but I think he's spot on with the fact that everybody's journey is different. Mm-hmm. He was trying to say, like, oh, Feyre's journey was da-da-da, but then as soon as she heard Feyre's name, she's like, fuck, I don't want to hear about her journey. I don't want to hear about Morgan's. I don't want to hear about da-da-da. Mm-hmm. But it takes time. Or he's right in the sense of right off the bat that he says that some people, when they see physical progress... Especially when you're working out for the first time. I figured that out when I started working out, that I saw a lot of physical changes right off the bat, but mentally and emotionally weren't there yet.
Yeah.
And then it almost seemed like I wasn't making any progress when the physical started to not be as exponential.
Yeah.
So I totally get what he's saying about that. But she constantly gets compared to Feyre, and now I'm also in her corner about, you don't have to bring her up. Like,
yeah. Feyre had 3 books. This is Nesta's book. Can we talk about Nesta?
Or just, how volatile she is when talking about Feyre. Like, maybe not bring her up.
Yeah.
When you're trying to make a point. But anyway, so she doesn't say anything about him though. So he's like, that'll tell you about my journey, Nesta. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no. He's like, and he tells her the story. He tells her the missing piece of what we got from last time. But last time he said that his mom died, but he didn't say like what happened afterward. Uh-huh. He tells her that he slaughtered the village. Rhys and Azriel all showed up. Obviously the women and children were spared, but I'm gonna guess all the males were dead.
Yeah. Some of them probably killed slowly.
Mm-hmm. And it was I think this was like a detail that we didn't know before, was that Rhys and Az found his sire and tortured him, and then he ended up killing him, which is like,
hey dad, fuck you.
Damn. I also love he calls him sire. Yeah. Because obviously not father.
Not dad, not even father, it's just sire.
He says it took him 10 years to finally face what he did. He doesn't regret it, but to finally face what he'd done. Mm-hmm. And I don't think she thought that he was going to say this.
I mean, because that's still a long time to Nesta.
Yeah, dude. 10 normal human years is a long time. So, I think she was also a little bit surprised that he had no remorse or no regret for what he'd done. Like, obviously, like, it's a dark part of his past, but not necessarily something he would not do again.
Right.
The honesty there is what strikes her, I think.
Yeah.
I do love the cuteness of him saying that it could take you 10 years, it could take you 20 years, or it can take you however long you need to get through this. But don't try to, like, there isn't a deadline for this. Mm. It's however you're going. But honestly, now that you think about it, they kind of were trying to put her on a deadline. Mm-hmm. Were they not?
Yeah, they were.
Like saying, if you don't, like, fix yourself at a certain degree, you're out.
Right. I mean, they didn't give her a time, which is almost worse of like, hey, you have a deadline, than not telling you when it is.
Making the deadline as you go up and being like, if you don't meet it by a certain time, then we'll just give up on you. So I will say that could be a little bit rough around the edges to hear. So from the intensity of his stare when he's like, nope, I didn't regret it. She like looks down a little bit like, oh my God, I can't look at him. And then he grabs her chin and he tells her, I got Connie.
Yes.
Whatever you need to throw at me, I can take it. I won't break. Aww.
Similar to what he said with Feyre, but in this case,
there's
so much
romantic tied to it.
It's also just so much better because I think, because with Feyre, it's okay, I can take it. Versus here, it's like, it's okay, I can take it, I won't break.
Yes, because the thing is with Feyre is a very physical thing. Like, don't hold back in a very specific manner. This is not even just like physically, but emotionally, mentally, everything. I can take your mental, if I've taken your beating so far, you should know that I'm kind of in it for the long haul. And I told this to John, and I'm just getting on my soapbox of love for a second. This is man goals right here. This is the type of man that like makes me want to tear up right now. This whole section makes me want, this whole book makes me want to tear up, but like this section in specific of him saying that is for all of my strong girlies out there who are single Pringles. This is that level of you haven't found a man or woman, whoever, that has been able to kind of take all that you are and be able to handle it.
It's like, I see you. You are an independent person, but I'm also here for you. You are allowed to have weakness. You are allowed to break. And in fact, it's not even weakness. It's just you are allowed to have these other emotions other than strength.
Mm-hmm. It's just so sweet because Cassian is that like, this man was in real life. Jesus Christ. It's for all of my confident girlies out there, you will find or not even just confident girlies, but very intense women. That is something I've had to struggle with for like my entire life of being very, whether intense about books or whether intense about, work or dreams or whatever. Like some men don't want to put you all in one box. Not that men are watching this, but
we have a good percentage of men.
We do?
At least on TikTok.
Oh, okay. Hi. Finding a man that can take all of that and tell you it's okay to lean on me. Because I've known too many and had too many of exes where like they can't handle that. Or it's like, okay, we like this version of Tabitha, but then when it gets too intense, I just kind of let her go and be by herself. When in that moment, what I actually need is for them to step up and be by my side.
Just like the simple thing of like, yes, you can carry all of those shopping bags, but I'm going to do it for you.
Chivalry? ?
It's kind of, yes, you can do that, but you don't have to. Or yes, you can, or I want to do this for you.
Yeah. But then, so she immediately says, I'm not like the others. I'm not like your friends.
Yeah.
Which, let me just tell you, I don't think any person finds somebody that they're romantically interested with that is like their friends.
Yeah, that's true.
That kind of defeats the purpose of them being friends, because then you would actually just like them. So that was kind of a face slap moment, but I get the sentiment because I like what he says. And that never bothered me before. Now, you say it like you want it to bother me. Of course she wants it to bother you because she's been wanting to push you away this whole time.
Yeah.
Good God, man. But then she brings up Reese because she tries to, throw him under the bus. Oh, so special, Reese Sand. He's like, no. You can fight me, but don't bring my brother into this.
Right.
No. This is the classic movie moment of like, I hate you more. Pause. Make out.
Yeah, sex. Well, not right into sex,
Make
but sometimes.
Out or sex. And this is totally them because they're totally saying that, or just like, you're an arrogant bastard. You're a haughty witch. All right. We're getting into this.
Like, all right, we gotta fuck now?
Because the thing is, he grabs her wrist and she's like, oh, like, let go. And then he kind of taunts her and says, well, use your training on me to get away. And she doesn't. And then he looks like he's won. And she's like, hell no.
I have other tricks up my sleeve.
I am not. What a trick to do, because, like, you knew what was going to end up happening. Like, you have pushed yourself away from kissing this man because you know what will happen when you kiss him. Uh-huh. And you're just like, oh, I don't want him to have the upper hand. What's the only thing I can do? Kiss him.
Yeah. Take him off his guard.
This is so fucking me logic. I'm like, I don't want to kiss you, but
I also want to shut you up. So.
I don't want you to have the upper hand. She's also such a tease. Why is she me in this relationship? I don't understand.
This is why you need a Cassian.
Anyway, so Nesta hauls Cassian to her mouth, eyes open. First of all, do not do this to someone you like. Do not kiss them with your eyes open.
Yeah, that's just awkward.
I have been in too many relationships where that has occurred.
Really?
One too many. And I'm like, close your fucking eyes.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Do not look at me. And also, girl, we get the first Nessian wall scene. And their first scene is a wall scene. Why SJM? I know you didn't make this for me, but also, why did you make this for me?
Right, indirectly for her superfan.
God dang. He is so taken aback. So she pulls away and laughs at him. She's like, got you. And then he he's zoned out to the point where he's like, my crush kissed me. Right. What do I do? He surges her into the wall. No pain. At this point, like, fuck the pain. Kiss me more.
Yeah.
And he surges toward her, and, like, she does not hesitate to open her mouth and French him.
Primal desire.
There is a lot of primal sit in this, and I will say, his hands going through her hair, and oh my god, when a guy's hands go through your hair, it's the same thing for a dude, too, when a girl puts her hands through a guy's hair.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing. Oh my god. It's hot as fuck, I'm not gonna lie. And the hand on the waist?
Yeah.
Oh, he knows what he's doing. Oh my god. So they make out for a little bit, and then of course it gets more, so he grabs her ass, pulls her up into his arms.
Still pinned against the wall, by the way.
Fuck you.
You're
for
welcome.
reminding me of that. I like how she describes him as tasting like crackling embers and snow-kissed wind. Very much Illyrian mountains, but very also much the fire that they seem to kind of symbolize with her, because Cassian also has an inner fire. That's why they link up so well.
I really like, and this is something I've only really seen with Sarah, is the use of scent. I mean, obviously it's fae and fairy, but like specifically she does it really well where she uses like, he smelled like this and this. And like, it's distinctly this and this. And so it's like, that's how you know if they're there. For when Favor returned and she's like, I mean, of course she heard Reese's voice, but then she's also like, his scent hit me.
Yeah, like the jasmine. And then it gets to the character where you know what that scent is.
Yeah, of like, you can know the character just by the scent.
Yeah.
Or like, this character was here because I can smell lingering traces of this and this.
It also like is fucky, because then also it makes me think that every time I gotta circle another thing. Is this a hidden clue? Of like, will I find this later where like it'll say crackling embers and I need to know that Cassian's there?
I just focus on Cedar and Nest.
The thing is the fact that I know
exactly
what you were talking about.
See, like, we can just like talk like that without having to say who it is.
He smells like cedar and mist. Yeah.
That's like such a calming scent too.
Well, and you're a mountain girl, so that's true. That probably feels at home to you.
I mean, we don't have cedar trees. At the same time, cedar or anything woody is definitely like a thing. And mist is like petrichor.
He's got wood.
Lots of it.
Just saying. That's why he got the wood. That's why he got the wood smell. I see what you're doing, Sarah. All right. Also, damn, if first kisses could be like this. I know this technically isn't their first kiss, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Because their death kiss wasn't really a kiss. No. It was kind of like lips touching. This is like a first kiss. Imagine if this was a first. I wish my first kiss could have been like this and not when we played Spin the Bottle. Because that was a terrible first kiss to have.
I've never had like an actual kiss. I've had like a peck. I've had pecks. But like,
you've never had like oh girl, you need to make out with somebody. We need to change that.
Not even just making out. I've never like
a full kiss though, like a full.
You mean touching lips for more than half a second?
Yes.
Oh, that's foreign to me.
Oh my god, we need to at least get you that. Like not even just a make out, but just that. It's so fun. Please, out there, tell me how much fun it is. So, damn. Yes. I don't know about y'all, but when they talk about, Nesta like brings up during this scene about how there's like a point on her collar, or sorry, a point like behind her ear or something, that when he's kissing down her neck, that, he hits and, gets her excited. I don't know about y'all, but I do have something similar of like a collarbone thing. I think we all do. I think there's an androgynous zone somewhere in that area. And dude, once a guy found that, I was like, fuck.
For me, it's the, like, not the hairline, but like the nape, like just literally the back of the neck.
Yeah, but it's also like collarbone for me. It's like right here.
Yeah. Oh, so, yeah, behind the ear.
Yeah, so it's just jelly, bro. And just some good old necking. I miss necking. Not well in real life, but I meant in a book, because Reese and Favor don't really neck.
Have we explained necking to the audience? I don't think we've ever explained necking to the audience.
Have we not? Have we gone this whole time and not explained what necking is?
I don't think
they've never necked, have they? No. Okay. So do you want to do it, since like my version, I guess, is not the way it's supposed to be?
So my version of necking, and what I think a lot of think
the general population
is necking is when male giraffes fight over a mate. They fight over a female, and then they swing their necks at each other and try and knock the other giraffe off balance. That's what I knew as necking. And now let's hear Tabi's.
I fucking forgot you told me that, bitch. Yeah. I hate you. It kind of is, though.
Kind of.
The intensity of giraffes like hitting each other, but also with the intensity of romance. Necking is Midwest term for kissing on the neck. Like,
right, which I guess kind of makes sense, but like me going into it, picturing two male giraffes swinging their heads at each other.
Oh my god. Well, they are two types. It kind of makes sense for them.
Yeah.
But, oh my god. So I'm sorry if I've brought up necking before and haven't sorry, that is my Midwestism coming in. That's what they call necking. They call making out on the neck necking.
Which, if we have explained it before, here's just a recap.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I think this was a moment where, oh god, it's so good because when he's talking a lot, he's like that. Ooh, you're very responsive. I'm sitting here like, god damn it.
Personally, for me, like that kind of talk is like either a hit or a miss with me. Because I don't like the dirty talk of like,
yeah,
like you're such a slut for my cock, that kind of thing, to put it bluntly, which I often like see a lot in when it comes to like dirty talk, like this simple thing of like, oh, you're so responsive.
Oh yeah,
like that stuff. It's like, it's not just crass, it's also your partner is like aware.
It kind of is crass, but it's crass in the way of just not like a vanity.
Yeah.
I will say I like dirty talk to a certain extent, but not like that. Yeah. Not like you were saying.
And dirty talk is like, you know, for each person, they have their own levels of like what counts as dirty talk and what doesn't, what they like.
Yeah.
But so that's just
I think it's a gray line for me because I definitely don't like it too much, but then this kind of shit I'm very happy about.
Yeah.
So it's like the moment where he like sees in her eyes that she wants it. Uh-huh. It's almost, again, a confirmation since 2 books ago that she even wants him at all, because this whole time he's not been 100% sure.
Yeah.
For Akawar, he kind of was sure that something was happening between them, but ever since then, he's always guessed. Uh-huh. And so he knows now that she's been very responsive to him and that she wants him.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like an unleashing for him, and it's very nice in that romantic way. Uh-huh. Also, high fucking 5 to Nesta. Because guess what she does right after it? She does the Tabitha move and just grabs it. Good for fucking her, dude.
I finally came back.
If you do not know the context of this, way back when me and Liesl first started talking about this stuff, do you want to explain it? Because like I feel like I don't do it justice.
Yeah, I forget when exactly it was, but yeah, it was very early on in our reading, and it was before I finished. I think even before I finished acting.
Yeah, it was pretty early on,
and it was probably during Akamath.
Probably,
but it was a moment where we were doing our book talk, and so kind of like how we're doing now, you know, kind of deep dive going through together and getting my responses. And at one point, she's just and yeah, so she just grabbed it. I'm like, and I, for some reason, I just cracked up laughing. I don't know exactly why, but it was just like she did the hand motion as well. So for our audience that doesn't see the video, like she like you're drinking. Like she just put her hand out like as a fist, like you would for rock paper scissors, and it's like grabbed it, opened and closed her hand.
Oh, started squeezing it too. Yeah, like,
and then she was just like, "What are you laughing at?" And I'm just like, grabbed it.
It was like a kid trying to get something from his mom. Yeah. Like and so it just stuck. Now that's like her inside joke of just grabbing it.
Yeah.
Because just grab it, yo.
Yeah, you know, don't need to do any of the build up. Just grab it, you know.
Guys grab titties all the time, so we're allowed to
except titties go womp womp.
Fuck you. That's an inside joke too, as well. You will learn those quickly through this book. So Nesta, my girl, grabs his dick through his pants. What a fucking champ.
She be palming him.
That was awesome. Like, I knew I liked her, but then that just kind of took the cake for me.
That type A coming back in of like, no, I'm happy.
And dude, he is massive as hell. She's like, what?
She's kind of like palming him, like through, of course, he's still wearing his leathers. So it's like.
But leathers, though.
Yeah, she's palming him through his leathers of, wait, is this like all of him? Like, is this all him? What? It just keeps going.
And it's like, dude, this was the first scene out of the gate, and I'm blushing. Yeah. I remember, again, every time I reread this, and especially with the graphic audio, I can't not, but even before when I just read it, I was just blushing. I think because it's so much more raw, I think. And it's also just more written. This makes sense. So, and they're not even having sex, like, but she's trying to, like, get his pants unbuttoned or unzipped or whatever the fuck, and it's taking too long, so she just rubs him through his pants.
Yeah.
Also, what a meme move.
Very impatient.
What a meme move. Honestly, yeah. Damn it.
Because, Illyrian leathers, they're meant for fighting. So, well,
they're not easy to take off, I would assume. Yeah. Not that we know.
Probably lots of clasps so his pants don't come down on the battlefield.
Oh, yeah. So, obviously, I love the moment of Boyish the Snow where he's like, if you keep doing that, I'm gonna... And she just keeps doing it anyway. And it's not... sorry. I mean, there's so many moments of this sex scene that we could digest. But basically, she exposes her neck, which is a very vulnerable thing to do. And then he exposes her neck for him.
And it also calls back to the Wings and Embers.
Yes. It calls back to thank you. It calls back to that mini scene where she did that as well.
And he's like, wait, really? And then he leaned in sniffing. Well, now he's leaning in and doing more than just sniffing.
And biting and licking and shit.
Yeah.
And she bites his neck, and that makes him come in his pants.
Yep.
Bro, also the fact that SJM wrote this, what a trooper. I was like, I did not think this is where Silver Flame gets me of how descriptive it is. He's like, she felt him come in his pants. And we're all like,
oh, he actually reached completion.
My God.
Also, it does make me just randomly, it makes me wonder if when he had partners, if they've ever bitten his neck.
I don't think so. I don't think he ever had that type of enough of a person. Though I will say, so immediately though, I'm not gonna lie, when Nesta finally looks up at him in a very nice moment of intimacy, he is blushing and looks like he regrets everything he just done. Obviously, we can tell he's embarrassed.
Yeah.
Not regret, but obviously she takes it as a look of regret and immediately turns her off. I think that would make anybody turn off if, like, somebody looked like they just regretted what they did.
Yeah.
I don't think he regrets what they did. I think he regrets that he came too soon.
Yeah, and he didn't manage to pleasure her at all.
Which we get later, but her initial reaction, I can understand. She says, damn, someone is quick off the mark. Also, what a way to say that.
Words to cover herself, because she's just like, oh, I messed up. Because also, not just seeing it as regret, but also maybe seeing it as like, oh, he didn't like that. He didn't like what I just did. Non-consensual, but also like I pushed too far, or I pushed his boundaries and he didn't like that. I'm going to use words to cover myself to pretend that it was nothing to me, to make it seem like it was better for him.
Yeah, and then not. Well, I don't think she was like thinking that, oh, he's, thinking about her at all. But also, who would think that, I think. So, okay, sex question. I didn't know that this was a bad thing. Is this supposed to be, shouldn't it be I understand how society this works. Maybe y'all in the comments can explain this to me. I will have Liesl explain it because she's probably more knowledgeable about this shit. But doesn't that mean someone's so hot that you just can't contain it and you just come instantly? Or is that societally bad?
In my opinion, is that it typically, in society, it's like, oh yeah, he took 2 minutes and then he was done. And then, in books, it's also kind of portrayed like that. Sometimes where it's just like, oh yeah, he just came really fast and then he was done. The key point of that is the fact that he was done. Because to me, it's very much of like, if you're in the moment with two very hot people, as you said, or you're attracted to the person, I don't think it's bad to come so quickly. I think it's just a matter of like, then just stopping it there so that only one of them gets off.
Oh.
So it's like, in society, I guess that's kind of like, he took 2 minutes and then I didn't reach anything. He didn't continue. He was just done. He got his pleasure. He was done.
I see that. Maybe it's because I've read too many books where I'm just like, the guy comes like multiple times in a scene where they're, doing stuff. So.
Right. Whereas like that, if it's like, okay, sure, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter if he comes like really quickly because, in, like you said, in the books, they come lots of times. Both people being intimate are able to reach climax multiple times. And I think that is definitely okay because that's when they're both finding the pleasure.
Yeah, because I don't think, obviously this is book world, so probably it's a little bit different than, I could totally see how in society, though, a guy would get off like immediately and then not get a girl off too, or whatever, even if it's guy on guy or even like whatever, that still happens.
And then it's also kind of a double standard as well of like when a guy is pleasuring a girl and then he doesn't get off, then that's typically, of course it does take longer oftentimes to get a girl off just because we're more intricate, unless they're really good. But like,
so Cassian, I'm going to assume.
But then it's like the case of like, if then the female is not, if the woman is not interested in helping the guy get off, even if it is like very simple, of, in your words, just grabbing it, you know, and then he might like come right then. But it's really, to me, the whole point about that, when it's looked down upon, is only one partner getting off.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that, because I was like, do you know how hot I would feel if I just grabbed it and then like almost instantly, just a couple strokes and then just instant? I would feel fucking like a queen.
But then at the same time, you would not like leave the situation. You would keep going.
Oh, leaving the situation. I am staying.
So I'm glad my explanation makes some sense.
So yes, it did. It is sad though, because as soon as she leaves the situation, unlike me, and we transition to Cassian's POV the next morning, sitting at the breakfast table with Azriel. And he cannot look at him in the eye. He's just, God damn, I came in my pants like he called it like an Illyrian youth.
Yep.
Because that's the thing about okay, I'm gonna stick on this just for a hot second. That's what makes Nesta so hot to Cassian. He hasn't come that quickly in a long time. And especially with his 500 years, there has not been a woman who has made that happen. I would feel empowered by that. I would hella feel empowered by that. Obviously, he feels embarrassed. But again, I still think that's like the beauty of that moment. But okay, whatever. Your male pride, let's say that.
Yes, definitely. Illyrian pride.
Oh yeah, very much so. So Az finally returned from the trip to the continent with information from Briellen, and they're all to meet up at the River House for a debrief. Obviously, that does not seem good. The fact that they all have to meet up, because that means that something is going down. But also, let's kickstart the plot. I mean, there is plot to this book. I was sitting here like, okay, yeah, welcome back to Plotland, because we were in Sex Land for 2 chapters, and now we're back.
Porn with plot.
Plot, yes. Obviously, Cass is not paying attention to him. Like, all he can think about is regret about what happened and embarrassed that he was so quick, and then how he left her unsatisfied, which in his whole 500 years, he says never has happened with a woman before.
What a good man. Like, he leaves in 500 years, he hasn't left a single woman unsatisfied.
Even in the war tents? Fucking high five, dude.
Nice.
Honestly, better than...
I know how you feel about the war tents.
You know how I feel about anywhere. Very sad.
All the cover up the sounds of the moaning and dying.
That is still fucking hilarious. I could not get over that. Though I will say, when he starts talking about base instincts and how it just took over him, I'm immediately thinking mates. I told you when we read Akamap all the way back then, they're mates. I'm calling it. Yeah. I'm calling it right here and now. They're mates.
Yeah.
And I'm still calling that. Again, I'm not denying or saying that's happening, but I will say that was my first reaction. Even back when I read it the first time. It's like, they're mates. I can just tell. I have known SJM now for 16 fucking books. I know when mates are happening. I feel like I got the knowledge. I have the curtain behind the scenes. Also, I love how Cassian then brings up how Nesta tasted like fire, steel, and a winter sunrise. That's actually really nice.
What the hell does a winter sunrise taste like?
I mean, cold and hot at the same time.
Brain freeze.
Cold and warm? Again, I'm just going to say that's something that like 90% of the male population probably can't say, that they haven't also had their partner, whoever, come as well.
Yeah.
I bet 90%. I'm going to bet on that statistic, honestly. So, Az asked him, so is there anything that happened? Like, no, nothing happened. Because he's never going to admit to it. And he's like, Reese wants you and Nesta down at the river. Ooh, they want Nesta down at the river house.
Yep, that's new.
That means something's happening for sure.
Yeah.
And she is involved. And not to make Liesl angry, she's going to be angry a lot during this episode, I feel. Cass thinks, at first he thinks it has something to do with Elaine, and then he's like, well, what happened with Elaine? Azriel, getting so defensive of Elaine, even though he has no idea what happened.
Yeah.
You're just
I will admit, I thought also something similar of like, is this discussion going to be what happened with Elaine?
Mm-hmm. But why does he... It's cute that he's being protective, but also of what? Again, if you've known in our audience by now, you both know that we're not really Elaine Azriel fans. If you are, please comment try to change our mind about that. I bet you. Try to change your minds about this. I don't think you're going to change Liesl's mind.
I don't hate on anyone that ships Elriel, but I just don't agree.
Okay. That's a nice way to say it.
I don't agree.
Then later down the episode, she's like, fuck all the Illyrial fans.
I'm sure you're nice people, but you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure you're nice, but you're very wrong. So I love how in my notes I went, bitch, she's fine. Calm down. I was like, she's fine. It was just
totally forgotten about it by now.
Honestly, yeah. Also, something is obviously wrong with Azrael, but Cass isn't going to push it because he's not ready to talk. Yeah. I wonder, I feel like, again, because ACOTAR 6 is planning to be released by the end of March. Not like the book, sorry. Do not get your hopes up.
Yeah.
It's the book name is going to get released.
Yeah.
By the end of there's been so many times in these chapters specifically, SJM will bring up something about Azrael and about how Cass knows that something's wrong with him. Like, more than just wrong with him about the world being. Like, obviously he's done shit, or especially what he's going to tell us in this next chapter about Briellen. I don't think that's what's wrong with. I think it's something else, but that SJM's hinting at, but we're not picking up on. And I wonder what it is. Whether it's Elaine or whatever it is in his relationship. I don't know.
Did he find a certain red-haired maid?
Good God, you're not going to get over that.
Wouldn't
it be fucked if Gwen was his daughter?
Oh yeah, that'd be so weird.
And then he gets with Gwen, and it's like your whole thing, because that would be his father-in-law.
Yeah, that would be very strange.
Would the fanfic still work?
Yes, but awkwardly.
Oh my God. And you judge me for watching Game of Thrones.
I don't judge you.
Hyperbole. So yes, obviously, chapter 20, Nesta. Yeah, it's kind of awkward as fuck going down to the river house, not gonna lie. I don't know if... I think I would be a little embarrassed too if I touched some dude's dick and he came in his pants and he'd have to fly me down to the house.
Yeah.
I think I would be I think I would blush a little bit.
Especially because she thinks that he didn't like...
Yeah, and they haven't really talked about it. Again, their lack of communication is just... Okay.
Lovely.
I love how that was my example. I imagine if I touched a guy's dick, came in his pants, or wait, he came in his pants?
Okay, then I'll take some skill.
That's so weird. It's like, I bet I would be a little embarrassed too. Okay. I do like how in this monologue, as she's describing how they're going down to the river house, so she sees Valaris as too big now. There's too many people. She said it's almost like she likes the solidarity up at the top of the House of Witch. She likes looking down on all the people, but being amongst the people kind of is a little overwhelming to her.
Which is different now of being amongst all the people.
I know, it was a reverse. I think this is what she actually likes.
Yeah.
She likes her solitude, but then occasionally going to the city, but not being in the city proper all the time. Very much a mountain girl. Obviously, she's a little bit nervous about who's going to be in attendance because it's like, okay, the last time I saw these people basically gave me an ultimatum, get the fuck out or comply. So I don't know how this is going to go. Because the thing is, I feel like she's thinking that she's getting taken for another reprimand.
Yeah.
Especially about what happened with Elaine, but it turns out not to be about that at all. But also judging her on her progress. I think I like that was written in there because, again, Cassian just explained that you can't judge it based on a time limit. And it almost seems like she's scared to go and meet and get like this progress report, quote unquote. And they're kind of judging her. Because like even Elaine was kind of doing that. Yeah. I thought you'd gotten better. It's like, did you think it was going to be 2 weeks, bitch?
Like you thought it was going to be right away? Really?
No. She's only been up there for 2 weeks. What was... okay, God. I can't...
The first few days of that, she wasn't even training yet.
I know. So again, we're going to this mighty river house, which we all wish we could go to. I want to visit this river house. I want to see what it looks like.
I'll go for a visit.
I wonder if anyone made a replica, like, or did like a design of this, what this house looks like. Probably. I would love to see some fan art about that. So as they're making their way through, the house, Cassian stops, and it almost seems like there's so many paintings up and about that he didn't notice all of them at first.
Yeah.
And so he stops and he sees a painting of Ramiel, the sacred mountain from the Blood Rite, which Nesta brought up, and I love how astute she is. She's like catching on very quickly.
Yeah.
To shit. She's like, oh, it's almost like a textbook. She's like, Ramiel, the sacred mountain.
Yeah. What a great artwork.
And I will say, I love how Nesta catches on to things so easily, because even Cassian was like, oh, I wonder, head scratching, I wonder how Feyre saw Ramiel. Nesta's looking her head, she's just like, dude, they can mind share.
Or in any case, Rhys can mind share.
Yeah, I'm like, she can see his thoughts. Or like, what's going on? Don't you know this? Like,
or if anything, because she's such a great painter, which some people still don't believe that. Honestly, a lot of great painters can visualize what people tell them as well.
That's true.
So it's like Rhys could have explained it verbally.
Well, and they also see Ramiel, like it's there, but not during the Blood Rite because the stars were up top,
right,
where they saw him. So at this meeting, there is no Elaine or Morgan. Obviously, Mor's in Valahan, and Elaine is fuck knows where.
Honestly, probably good that they're both not there because Nesta crashes them the most.
Yeah. Honestly, yes.
Sarah was just like, this needs to be like a peaceful moment. No, I'm not going to have them in here.
We already have... Well, also, Moore's often Valahan doing whatever, so,
yeah.
you know.
Good setup.
Feyre still has her shield around herself, and eventually, during this episode, we know why. But they still are kind of in the dark at first in the scene. And Amryn is there, still tense with Nesta. Very much they looked at each other and was, okay, we're still... It's almost like they had a moment of, okay, are we still fighting? Okay.
Yep.
Looking at each other, okay, we're still there. All right. So, a big Azriel debrief about what is going on. Azriel found out a bunch of information and tortured the information out of people. You kind of... You're finding that hot, aren't you? Yes, you are!
So just a little bit. Just because he's skilled at what he does. He's skilled at his job, which we've already talked about. I like a guy that's skilled at his job.
You're gonna fall in love with Xaden.
Does he torture people?
If you were to tell you that. But Azriel, you were such a shadow daddy girl. Like, I'm a Cassian girl. I like the Cassian characters. I mean, I like Xaden too, and Azriel characters, but not...
Like, actual Shadow Daddy. I mean, Rhys is a Shadow Daddy in his own right.
Rhys is the original Shadow Daddy, but he also has Cassian energy.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I love Rhys-Anne more.
Which is literally... That's the point of the three of them, you know? Cassian's red, Azriel's blue, he's purple.
Yeah, he is... I never thought about that!
Really?
No!
I thought of something that the superfan didn't think of. Woohoo!
Girl, you know I don't fuck with colors.
Oh, that's true.
Colors are my go-to about metaphors.
That's why it's red and blue and they make purple.
Yes.
These mix.
I understand now. That makes so much fucking sense.
Which is why I like pure Shadow Daddy.
Yeah, you like pure... And honestly, Xaden is represented by blue. I'm not gonna lie. It's represented by blue. I'm not gonna lie. He does. Oh, no. Okay, anyway. He seems a little bit ashamed, though, when he says, oh, I got the information. Because Nesta immediately notices, you know, and I think this is something that really Nesta noticed that Feyre didn't notice about Azriel's job. Like, when Azriel comes in and gives a debrief, it's like, oh, thank you, Azriel. But then with Nesta, it's like, oh, shit, you tortured people to get this information.
Right.
I'm sorry. I mean, thanks for the information, but, like, I hate that you're the one that has to do, like, the dirty work behind the scenes. This is why some people think Rhys is evil, because they think that Azriel's doing the dirty work behind the scenes and he's making him do it, kind of like his dad did. But also, Azriel's, at least from my point of view, he's doing it willingly.
But
you're not on the Rhys is evil train.
No, not that he's evil. I just haven't been like...
Oh, well, that's sad.
Which is really sad, because he is a character that is written so well. But if I'm being completely honest, recently I just haven't really been like...
But you like him in the other books.
Oh, yeah. Going back to those books, it's like, oh yeah, Rhys is amazing.
Yeah.
But, like, in this book, and even a little bit of the last book, it's just...
Oh.
Which is really sad to say, and I'm probably breaking a lot of hearts out there.
My boy, you're breaking my heart.
I'm sorry. I don't hate him. I will say that. I don't hate him, and I don't think he's evil. He is not evil.
I don't think he's evil either.
He is a good boy.
He's just going through some shit right now.
He's also just very... I think the main thing for me, the crux of it, is that he is just so focused on Feyre, right?
Yeah.
That he's not focusing on anything else. So, for me, like, the whole thing between Rhys and Azriel, that's... Since he's so focused on Feyre, he's not really considering his brother's feelings. Like, of course, they're still brothers, but in that way, I think the line between brother and High Lord is getting blurry.
I see that. Because he tucks his hands away in shame. No, baby, let me see those hands.
So pretty.
Eris claimed, so we got confirmation at least. Okay, the thing is, I'm just going to say this verbatim. I'm kind of questioning about some of this information. I don't think all of it's lies. I don't think Azriel is lying about what he found out. But I'm not sure about some of this, who he got. Because he's saying, he claimed that the other queens that aren't Briellen, have fled from that joint castle that they've had, and that they fled somehow, and that she's alone by herself. Comment, actually.
Oh, I remember.
How would they have gotten out, and then no one knew about it?
And no one knows where they are now.
Yeah, because, like, they never said, like, I mean, he said that they went back to their territories,
but wouldn't he, as a spy master, wouldn't he then go check to see if they were really there? So why didn't he check?
But I don't think he's worried about them, because they're not a threat. Like, she's really the threat.
Right, because they can, quote-unquote, like, only winnow when they're all together.
But the thing is, how have they been winnowing then if they haven't been there?
Yeah, that's true.
Then they aren't. So, do I believe that? No. I think whoever he tortured it out of thought that, but I don't think that person knew. But anyway. Also, Baron is still a filthy traitor. The queen wants to use him for this upcoming war that she's going to. What a fucking moron.
That's a big middle finger.
Also, Baron's just an ass. Can he die already, please?
Yeah, he needs a very... Well, honestly, he needs a brutal death, but I would even be happy if it was just a quick death. Like, just get him out of here.
Just a very... I want it to... If it's going to be a quick death, I want it to be shocking. I want it to be in the middle of nowhere in the piece of literature. I want it at the top of the scene.
I either want it like that, or honestly, I would love to have a blood duel. Because we've never seen a blood duel. And we only hear of it of, like, males fighting over their mates and females. But what if it's, like, a blood duel between, like, Eris and Baron?
Or a blood duel between Helion and Baron.
Yeah. Well, that would be your romance aspect of it.
Well, but it's not really romantic. It's like, High Lord against High Lord. I mean, for his white lady, yes, but...
Okay, it would be interesting between a High Lord. But, you know, I mean, there really isn't much information on the blood duel. So we don't know if it can be the case of only Autumn can enact it, or if anyone else can enact it with someone from Autumn. Because it specifically said that it's a Autumn tradition. So, but that's all we get with that.
So, obviously, he's still a traitor, and he's still on Braelen's side. But Azriel found out that the queen wants to retrieve the cauldron to get her youth back. Which, haha, bitch, try.
I don't think he'll give it back.
Even if this plan makes no fucking sense. Why is she trying to get it back? Like, thinking that she's gonna use it to force it to give her back?
Right.
Unless because she's made now, she can use it.
Right.
To bend to her will. But, like, again, she's just fucking Yahtzeeing that.
Also,
she doesn't know.
We have also, you know, kind of talked about the idea that the cauldron is sentient as well. So I don't think it's like, it's gonna give it back either. It's gonna be like, hey, no, I already had you in my grasp. I didn't like you. Here's old age. I'm not gonna give you. Honestly, it would make her older, probably.
I don't see how that's possible. It seems like she looked pretty grotesque.
Turn her into a corpse.
So Amren does remind us, so for people who don't remember ACOWAR, if you don't, where have you been? Amren reminds us that only the inner circle and Miriam and Draken know about the cauldron. Yeah. But I'm gonna say, really? Are they really the only people that knew? Because what about all the people that were on that fucking ship with it?
And probably saw it, like, move into wherever it is.
Anybody in her inner circle, I guess. Yeah. Miriam's inner people or whatever.
Right.
But again, they're on their own island, misted, very much misted from everybody, so I can understand maybe them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Whenever it's something about transport, there's always like that little dock person that knows some shit. Yeah. Maybe that's just my theorizing, but I also don't think that they're the only ones that know. But even, yes, as Amren says, even with the wards around Kratea, they can't reach it. Braelen can't reach it. So here's where Azriel comes in with the clutch. Kosechi has been whispering... Kosche? Fuck.
Kosche, yeah.
Kosche has been whispering in Braelen's ear like they feared. Using her for his own means, yes, but Azriel specifically says that she is not a puppet being used by him, but an ally.
Oof.
Because, remember all those made people... The fucking bone, R.I.P. the bone carver.
Yeah.
The, like, Bryaxes and everything, all of those made creatures loved the idea of the sisters being made. I bet you money he also thinks that she's interesting and he's intrigued by her because of her maid factor. Even if it's bad juju. Like,
and we've also heard of, like, Kosche, like, wanting to get out of his lake. So it could also be, like, interesting, let me study this maid creature. And maybe she has the answer to get me off my lake.
And since they're on the continent together, it makes sense why he'd go after her instead of, like, one of the sisters or something.
Yeah.
But I will say, I wasn't sure about Kosche at first. I was like, is he bad? Because, like, I mean, obviously he wants to get out of his lake, and it seemed like the bone carver was afraid of him. Yeah. I think that makes me think he's more bad than the other stuff. But
powerful older brother.
But I don't, like, at first I was like, is he really bad? Or is he going to be one of those one that just uses her for the own means and then kind of like, okay, bye, whatever, and then he's just good? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, it doesn't seem like that's what's given off, but I don't know. That's what my thought was.
Yeah.
So as Azriel's giving his debrief, he randomly, he's so nonchalantly, he brings up the Dread Trove. Badass. But he brings it up so casually, and then Nesta's the one that has to be like, what's the Dread Trove? Like,
yeah.
But seemingly, everyone doesn't really know about it. So I love how she's the one that has to bulk up and ask. None of y'all knew what the fucking Dread Trove was.
Right, but it's kind
except
of like,
Cameron.
they maybe have heard of it before, but they have no idea what it actually is.
Right. So I love new artifacts and I love history shit. I know sometimes there's like critique of it being a plot insert. I don't think that's what's happening. I think it actually fits with the story. But also, I'm going to say that about SJM. So
yeah.
Anyway, that does not bode well, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The Dread Trove is some of the remnant artifacts of many cauldron-made powerful objects of mass destruction.
Woo.
Anytime, that's not good. So apparently Amren giving us the lore dump, of course she would, because we love her. And she's the living encyclopedia of this world.
Yeah,
honestly.
That's why she stuck around.
Yeah, very much so. And give us this, so apparently back when the cauldron was made, there was a bunch of objects that were forged from it, and only 3 remain. Amren does bring up that there was rumored to be a 4th one, but when Amren went into the prison, only 3 remained. I'm gonna say we've read a book before. If there was 4 rumored, there was probably a 4th one hiding there somewhere.
Yeah, just no one knows where it is.
Right.
I mean, it seems like no one knows where these 3 are.
No, so basically Amren says the harp, crown, and the mask. Now, if I was thinking like y'all, when I heard mask, I was like, the front of the book. The cover of the book is a mask.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, there it is. I was like,
I see it. I found it.
Mm-hmm. Feel proud of myself. Connection. Also, badass. Honestly, this whole sequence of lore is badass to me. I love this new addition of this, these items.
Yeah.
Because, Farah asked a good question, like, how are these different items than from the Hewn City? It's like, but Farah, how do I say it? What did I do?
Because you said, how are the items from the Hewn City? So you're just missing difference.
How are these items different than from the ones in the Hewn City? Which, obviously, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, because they're cauldron made, I'm going to assume.
That's a big factor.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's, Farah, I love you, but goddamn.
Unless there just happens to be a cauldron made one in the Hewn City.
Which I don't think so, because if that was the case, Kier would have that all the time.
Yeah, if he knew it was there.
But basically, Amren gives us the powers of all these, and there's powers attached to all the all these objects. The mask, which was apparently molded by a long-forgotten king, which I'm thinking the one king that they keep referencing all that long time ago. I'm going to assume that's who they're talking about, but it was molded after this face, and it can raise the dead.
Okay, scary. Dangerous, hella power.
Wow. The harp, which can transport anybody, anywhere, and some can say between worlds.
Yeah, because most people can winnow, so having the harp has got to be a little bit different.
Well, and it also makes it seem like it doesn't really matter about wards either. Like, that's what it's making it seem like. If you want to be anywhere, you can be anywhere.
Yeah, as long as you know how to play the harp.
I guess as long as you know how to play it. And then the crown, which it seems like this is the one that Amren seems the most distraught over. She says it can mind control anyone within close proximity.
And how close is close proximity?
Yeah, that's open-ended. Like, I'm going to assume, like, in a close radius, like how we're sitting, or even maybe just across, the street. I'm going to assume it's, like, close enough that you can see them, but not close. Even if you're seeing them from afar, there's still a level of connection there.
So maybe, like, that's got the theory of, like, as long as you can see them, even if, like, they are further than in the same room. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, there's that person up on the cliff. I see them. Mm-hmm. I can control them.
It's a scary horror movie moment of, like, the villain looking up at the person in the hiding in the cliffs and then controlling them.
Gotcha.
And Amren specifically says that it can go past any mental wards.
Oof.
So that means that, like, no matter if, you're strong as Rhysand and have the mental wards of an ox, that doesn't matter. You're going to get mind controlled either way. It's kind of, paper?
Yeah.
Paper beats rock. It's kind of just like basically like a +4. A fuck you.
You got 2 game references in there.
I know, but they're not even fun game references. It's like, they're not.
That could be fun.
We cut bitches for that back where I'm from. I do have to agree with Nesta when Amren's talking about this the whole time. She's like, and people lost them?
Yeah.
Who would lose it?
Dumbasses that hid it away and then died without telling anyone.
Well, and Rhys makes it seem like they were lost and forgotten. Kind of like somebody put them on a shelf or like put them away so nobody could get to them.
Yeah.
And then they were kind of lost to time.
Yeah.
I mean, apparently they were lost before Amren went into prison. So that's a long, 10,000 years?
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. Did she go into the prison 15,000 years?
I thought she was 15,000 years old. old.
Because that's what I thought too. And I was like, I thought she went into the prison like when she was 10 or like 5,000 years in. Because then she said she was in the prison for 10,000 years.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay.
I think her age is 15,000.
She went into the prison when she was 5,000. God, that time is crazy.
Yeah.
Varian should feel special as fuck.
Yeah.
Should.
She spent 2/3 of her life in the prison.
That is horrible. So Amren thinks, at least from what Azrael is mentioning, Amren thinks that Briellen is trying to track down the Dread Trove to use the objects to find the cauldron. Because, like, what's the point of finding the Dread Trove if, like, you aren't trying? Because, like, what she wants is to find the cauldron. Yeah. But how are you going to find the cauldron? By using the Dread Trove. I will say this confused me a little bit at first, because, like, why doesn't she... Because if she's made from the cauldron, right, she should have the same connection the sisters do to the cauldron.
Yeah.
Then, as they explain and get further into this, Feyre and Amren ask Nesta what happened in the cauldron, because they're thinking that whatever Nesta took made it almost negate the connection. It almost severed the connection between Briellen and the cauldron. It was almost like we're not going to give you the cauldron connection. You're just getting punished.
Yeah.
For whatever Nesta did. I mean, I think what they're assuming is correct, but I don't think they're assuming it because of what Nesta did. Right. I think the cauldron was just
pissy,
screwing Briellen off because she tried to go into it and be beautiful and fae forever, whilst the sisters went into it unwillingly. So
and also, I think that it probably was like... So we have, like, talked about theories where we think the cauldron hates Nesta, but I've also recently been thinking about, like, maybe it also respects Nesta, of like, damn, that bitch was fighting.
I think the cauldron still does dote on Elaine, but I don't think Elaine has the same connection to the cauldron that Nesta does. Like, in the way that we've never seen it.
Right.
I mean, again, in this chapter, it seems like that's what they're going to try to do, which is kind of a no-no, which leads to a fight, obviously. Yeah. But we've never seen it. I don't know. It almost seems like the only reason the cauldron has a connection to Nesta is because Nesta took a part of the magic. Yeah. And there's just a forced, because it's the magic from the cauldron, that they're connected.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. It's like, besides Elaine. I mean, I think Elaine and the cauldron have a connection, but I don't think it's as strong as the one with Nesta because she literally has the fucking powers of it.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But that's what they were confused about. I was confused about why they were confused. Why are you questioning this? And why does it matter what she took from the cauldron? What does that have to do with Briellen? Even Cassian's like, does this matter? Does bringing this up matter to this situation right now? I think they also just want to know. Yeah. And they're trying to use this as a way to get her to talk. I put in my notes, I agree with Nessian on this one. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the fact that Cassian stood up for her makes her want to talk.
Yes.
And pushes her to actually speak it.
Yeah.
Because before, she just said, fuck them when they tried to ask her about this before.
Right.
And she does her breathing techniques before explaining. I bet all of them were just sitting there like, it's happening. She's like deep breathing and they're just like...
And Cassian being like... nodding over there smugly. I'm like, there we go. She's learning something.
That's my girl. He definitely gives off that energy. So Nesta doesn't know what she took, but only that she took stuff from it. So thanks, Feyre. What did that get? That didn't get us anything.
Nope.
So again, Feyre and Amren are guessing that because, and again, this is all speculation. They're even guessing. They don't really know. That they think because Nesta stole the power, it did not grant her the same, it didn't grant Briellen the same gifts that Nesta has. Right. Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And I love how there's a moment in here where, but the thing is, I think Cassian's the one to actually say this. Because again, they're thinking, oh, this is going to be bad if Briellen gets the Dread Trove because it can lead her to the cauldron. Cassian's like, forget the cauldron. If she's got the 3 powers of what we just talked about, that's unstoppable.
That's already an issue.
She's got an army of the dead. She's got control over minds. And then she can transport herself and probably send army anywhere.
Yeah.
Bad. That is bad. Definitely sets up a new villain. Again, I told you before that I think she's kind of... Again, this was my speculation at the beginning of the top of this book, that I think she's very much an Amarantha, where, like, this isn't going to come to pass for her. Like, she's going to be dead by the end of this book. I don't know, but feels like it.
She's like a temporary villain of the story. Whereas, like, the big bad might not be Coast J.
But the war is still real.
That's true.
The threat of war is still real, for sure. And I love the subtle nod, though, that Cassian gives her about that she says, it's something like that he looked to her as if the few words she managed to get out was something worthy. So yeah, we don't know like what Koschei really wants. I mean, Amren's right to say that this is all speculation. We don't really know what his ends are. Like, why does he want to be free from the lake?
Right.
Is it because he wants to mass take over the world? Or what does he want to do?
Right.
They don't know his end goal.
And it's also, if you think about it, Striga, the Bone Carver, they didn't really want to be out. They were kind of happy with their place.
Yeah, one was in prison and the other one was like running the middle.
Yeah.
So they were fine. And also, Koschei seems to be having like banging party at his lake with a bunch of ladies. So,
yeah.
I mean, not good for them. Like, obviously, I mean that in a very terrible metaphorical way.
Yeah.
Like, it's bopping at the lake, but somehow he wants to get out of it, which makes me think very villainy then.
Is he going to take all of his party with him?
I hope not. I did forget that Nesta doesn't know about the Death Lords because sometimes I have these moments of, okay, Feyre knows this, but Nesta doesn't. So Cassian kind of gives her a crash course, like, Koschei is a death god because they are deathless, very much like Lanthus. When he was describing him, is that they are death gods. Well, the three of them are death gods.
Yeah.
But the Death Lords in general are people that they choose when they die.
Right.
They can't be killed, but they're truly immortal.
They're the first gods.
Which is why the Fae are not immortal to them.
Right.
Also, the fact that even Amren shuddered at the mention of Lanthus means bad news. Also, they keep mentioning him. I was thinking to myself, I was like, I hope we don't meet him.
But we're probably going to have an appearance.
As soon as, like, if they ever go into the prison, this book, they're going to run into him. I guarantee it.
Especially because he was given a name.
Well, I thought that too, but also if they mention him the one time, like Lubia, they didn't mention him either. They keep mentioning Lanthus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is he? Yeah, I feel like that's going to happen. Again, I don't know.
Right, and talking about how Cassian struggled against him.
Yes, very sure. They brought him up twice now, so I've read a book before. Yet another possible breakout of war if they don't get this settled, like right now, right here and now. It almost sounds, and especially with how they're planning this right now, they're almost falling into a fucking Akamath trap.
Yeah.
Where they're not telling anybody, and they're just trying to do it themselves.
Yeah.
I will talk about that a little bit later when, like, we get to there, but I will say, god damn it. It doesn't seem like Briellen has found the Dread Trove yet. It makes it seem like she doesn't have it at all, which is good because you'd think that she would be making moves, even if she had one of them. Apparently, they're scattered throughout Prithian. Fucking good luck for us. Because she can't get to, at least get to Prithian without anybody knowing.
Right.
They would censor, I feel. It makes that easier for us.
Right.
So let's start readying for her to come to shore, but the only thing that Azrael can't really seem to put together, two and two together, is why she took Eris's soldiers if they're allied.
Yeah.
They allied with the Autumn Court. Why does it seem like she took...
Right.
I don't know. Like, I didn't really know why, because it doesn't make any sense. Unless she knows Eris is a backstabber and is, like, using them against him or something.
Yeah.
But is she really this smart? I don't know. We haven't met her yet, really. I mean, we did when she was human, but we haven't met her again as a fae. Okay, so here it is. Cassian wants to say to hell with secrecy and tell the courts of Barion's treachery. And the thing is, I agree and I don't agree. Because this isn't like the Akamath thing where they're talking about some outside force coming in.
Yeah.
This is one of their own and saying, yo, this guy's a fucking traitor.
Yeah.
And so Rhys says, we can't do that because it will expose Eris as a valuable ally. And I'm like, yes.
Then just bring Eris to the court. He'll be entertained.
He'll bring him to the fucking... Would you want him in Valaris?
Probably not in Valaris.
But I don't think he wants to be in the Hewn City.
Put him in the Moonstone Palace.
Oh my... Actually, he would love to be in the Moonstone Palace. I'm not gonna lie. That place was hopping.
Yeah.
I would want to stay there if Valaris wasn't my first go-to. I think I would be like Nesta, though. I think I'd want to be at the top of the House of Wind and then go out into the city when I wanted to. Because I have a hot Illyrian male that can take me whenever I want.
Yeah, Illyrian, whenever you want it.
Okay.
I'll get off my Azra's train.
So, but I agree with Cassian, though, to a certain extent. Remember the last time we didn't tell anybody else what was going on?
Yeah.
And then Akawar happened. And then everyone was upset that they didn't tell them about what was going on, and they said they should have told them.
Right, of like, well, why didn't we hear about any of this?
Because they didn't even know war was going on for like a book and a half.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Because the thing is, this is preparing for war, but I kind of understand where Rhys is coming from. And still, I can understand.
Right.
But also, because it's an enemy from within, it's not like they can call up a High Lords meeting and be like, j'accuse, at the fucking meeting. Yeah. They'd have to all meet up with each other, and then he'd already be exposed, and then it'd be over. But the real big kicker is he doesn't want to make it known that they're looking for the Dread Trove, so that anybody else finds it, which is very much like the Book of Breathings thing. It's similar, but at the same time, I can understand why he doesn't want other people to look for it, or even give Baron a chance to look for it.
Right. But how did that go down? That made tension between Rhys and Tarquin.
Well, but hopefully this isn't in one of the fucking High Lord's palaces. I'm gonna hope this isn't there. So what's the best way to approach this? I don't know. They're going to be approaching it in the way they're approaching it, but I do agree with Cassian of kind of being a little about not telling anyone. I think they should at least tell their allies. Like tell Helion and maybe Tarquin, who are trustworthy, Callius maybe.
Yeah, basically just not Baron and Tam.
I guess, yeah. Ooh, I love how Feyre just brings up, like, we go after the Dread Trove during the war. So it kind of seems almost like a plot hole moment of, why didn't we know about this beforehand? It's like SJM is solving the plot hole in her exposition. So basically, it has been 10,000 years since anyone has seen this Dread Trove, and the Book of Breathings was easier to find. Because again, the sisters weren't turned then, so they didn't have a direct, link to the Cauldron Maid objects.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made sense to look for them because there was no point in looking for them. Amren describes it as maid objects don't like to be found. Yeah. And she interestingly says that it's almost like the objects themselves made people forget. It's almost like they put a glamour over themselves so that people would forget. And then they're kind of explaining this in a way that because people know about the Dread Trove now, it's almost like it wants to be resurfaced. That's why it's making people remember what it is. Right. Which is pretty powerful, but also makes total sense for a Cauldron Maid object.
Yeah, but it would also have to have some form of sentience.
Mm-hmm. And she even brings that up too. Like Cassian's like, are these things sentient? She's like, yes, they are. Because she says here, they have faded from memory that even I didn't think of them immediately in the fight against Hybern, and suggest that perhaps they willed it that way, wanted to stay hidden. True things of power have such gifts. And then she says that the maid objects were made in a time when wild magic still roamed the earth, and Fae were not masters of all. So it seems when wild magic happened, it was kind of like pre-civilization kind of thing.
That's like dinosaurs.
Yeah, where they had their own sentience because people didn't use them.
Right.
Damn, they're very interesting. It's also reminding me of the sentience of the house, making me think it's some wild thing, and the fact that Nesta is in the house now, it's like waking it up
and kind of harnessing it in a way.
Good God. Though Nesta does bring up a good plot point of, well, how did Asriel remember when he flew all the way back? I think what Amren is saying is that once you see past the glamour, you can see past it, and that once you know about it, that's it.
Yeah.
You just know.
It's like a one-time.
Yeah, it's like, put a glamour on it, but also if they want to be found now, of course they would want him to.
Right.
I just chalk this up to nobody knowing what's happening, and we're all Amren's just our best guesser, and so she's guessing what's going on. Who's gonna track down the...
At first, I thought it was going to be Nesta scrying again.
You thought so?
Yeah.
You thought she would scry after what happened last time?
Yep.
Really?
I felt like maybe with her new training, she might use her breathing to be like, okay, I can do this.
I didn't think she'd want to do it at first, but maybe she'd be pushed into it.
Yeah.
Which it almost seems like, so...
And part of it is I didn't want the other tracker.
So Briellen can track down the Dread Trove just like Nesta and Elaine can.
Yeah.
And so they need to use Nesta to find the Dread Trove, but guess who comes out of the woodwork? So we track down the Dread Trove. How? Elaine speaking from the doorway, using me.
Sorry, but Grand Entrances does not work for her.
She literally came into the scene, I volunteer as tribute, and I just laughed my ass off.
Down, bitch. Sorry, Elaine lovers out there, I apologize.
All I could do was laugh, bro. I'm sorry. All I could do was laugh at that scene. What does she think she's doing? I mean, good that she's showing some initiative with this, but also why make it a fucking entrance if you knew that we were talking about this? Wouldn't you have wanted to hear everything?
She's probably listening outside the door, planning her entrance. I think we've talked about that. She
kind of wants to make things a spectacle.
You're like, oh, attention's on me now. My turn for things.
Oh my God.
Yoo-hoo, Asriel over here.
Ew.
Make someone blow out. Sorry.
The fact that I know your reference is what kills me too. We're Disney lovers. Well, and the thing is, like, I shouldn't laugh, but also, how can I not? Because she hasn't shown much initiative.
Yeah.
Otherwise. And her just being like, I'll do it. I'm just like, with what?
Hands on the hips, I'll do it.
And it's like, bitch, please. And we all know that as soon as Nesta hears that you're gonna like put yourself in harm's way, she's gonna take the heat.
Yep.
We all know this, so just step aside.
Yep.
If you really wanted to do without her knowing, you guys would have done it already.
Exactly. Maybe they're testing Nesta. I'm like, oh, are you better now? Are you all fixed if you don't blow up at her again?
Ooh, or was it a test to see if she would still put herself before Elaine?
Yeah,
even
especially after the argument.
So would she still put herself in harm's way to save Elaine from such?
Right.
I think that was also a test too.
Yeah.
God damn. Again, I don't think some people meant that to be a bad test, but I definitely think it was a test for Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still love me this way?
No.
So we get to chapter 21, and I think we're all in a little bit of shock about Elaine stepping up for once. Nesta hears that Elaine wants to track down the Dread Trove and automatically is like, hell no.
Yeah. Even though they just had their little fight, like, Nesta still is protective of her.
Because they know, dude. They know. But I will say Elaine does stand her ground here, and she's like, I want to do something useful. Though it's like they're both playing this cat and mouse game of like, I thought you didn't have powers either. When like they both, and everyone knows that they all have powers. They just were trying to pretend they didn't.
Right.
Though, I don't know about you, but what she said about, what is it? That she have to get to know her powers again because she hadn't used them. I called bullshit on that, Ella.
Yeah.
I read that and I was like, I feel like you've been using them. I'm not gonna lie.
Probably. We don't know with what, but probably.
How many times that Amryn or Feyre has said like calls to like in these chapters makes me think that because we're in Nessa's point of view, she's just overdoing it.
Yeah.
And all we hear is like calls to like, and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
In the very Nesta way that
it's probably repeating in Nesta's mind.
Amryn, interestingly enough, says that Nesta and Elaine, since they were made by the Cauldron, not only can they track down the Dread Trove items, but they are immune to their gifts.
Huh.
Which means, like, I'm assuming the crown can't control them.
Right.
And the thing is, she also says that they can use them.
Yeah.
They're immune to them and she can use them. Which my first thing was, doesn't that mean Briellen is therefore
probably
immune
the same way.
And can use them?
Yeah, probably the same way.
The fact that Elaine has, everyone's worried about Nesta having objects of mass power. I'm actually a little bit more concerned about Elaine being able to use the Dread Trove.
Especially just because she's really plain. Like, so far she hasn't done anything, really. I mean, she's done some things that are questionable, but like just objectively compared to everyone else, she really hasn't done much. She hasn't like tried to do one thing or the other. She's just boring. And so like in that
so
sense,
bad.
But I'm also trying to be like objective in this moment, putting aside my dislike for her. Like, I mean, yeah, she technically helped with killing the king, but like other than that, she's just been sitting around doing nothing and, hasn't really shown too much of her powers except for like the one vision, the couple visions, the seer powers. But it's just like, okay, so we're going to focus on Nesta just because you can see her power. That seems like a dumb decision.
I will say I do agree with Elaine in this bit where, the fight did actually get to her and she's like, you can't have it both ways, Nesta. You can't judge me for wanting my garden little life and then say that I don't do anything.
Yeah, that is true.
It's like, yeah, you can, but also I do agree with Nesta here where she's like, do anything else. Literally have an adventure, do anything but that.
Go hang out with Lucian. The bonding time.
Yes, go in the human court where we don't the human lands where we don't have to bother with you.
Yeah, why are we threatening Nesta sending her back to the human court when the one who wants to go back to the human, well, I said court too, wants to go back to the human court is Elaine. Right. Send her.
I will say that Feyre, I love Feyre, but also her trying to step in the between Nesta and Elaine spitting at each other, it was probably not the best idea.
Yeah, no.
Because immediately Nesta turns toward her in a very striking move and is like, stay out of this. He's like, uh-oh.
And of course who's that gonna trigger?
Oh, Reese. It's like, honestly, I feel like Elaine has much more backbone in this chapter alone than I think the whole time we've ever known her.
Yeah, that's true. She's actually kind of, I wouldn't say badass because she's not, but standing up for herself in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good on her at least.
Because she's like, I'm not a child to be fought over. It reminds me of the Jasmine thing. Like,
yeah,
I am not a prize to be won.
Right.
It reminds me of that. I made 2 Aladdin references this episode. Though I will say, again, Nesta's Nesta's gift for being able to like pick out something that's mean is when she's like, you finally decided to grow some backbone, Elaine. Maybe you'll be interesting after all.
I kind of agree with that.
That's not wrong. But the fact that she's like, ugh. And then guess what happens in the corner? A bunch of shadows start. Let me say it too. The shadows gathered in the corners of the room like snakes preparing to strike. Liesl does not like the fact that Azrael is protective over her.
I'd like to think that it's Azrael being chaperone and keeping Nesta in line, like reminding her that he's there. Just because I'm more on the line that they could be besties.
But definitely not. That's definitely not what this is.
Yes.
Which,
I would prefer not to say Azrael and Elaine in the same sentence unless I'm dissing the female of that, and then Azrael is rejected.
So I literally put in my notes, I was like, shut up, dude. I was like, this has nothing to do. Oh, God. She's not going to hit her.
Yeah, that's true. Although their relationship is kind of changing, so maybe.
I don't know. But I will say that snaps to Elaine for kind of all of us forgetting that, like what she says here, her quote is, I went into the cauldron too, and it captured me, and yet somehow all you can think of is what my trauma did to you.
Yeah. That does kind of hit pretty hard, though.
I think we all, as readers, forgot for a second that was Elaine it happened to. Versus we thought about how it happened to, or what happened to Feyre, and then like how Nesta is impacted by Elaine getting stolen, but like not actually Elaine getting stolen herself. Nothing happened. She was gone for like an hour, but
I suppose that's true.
What she's saying.
I mean, okay, I know we've talked about this in previous episodes. Like, we're not entirely sure what happened with Elaine getting captured.
It's sus.
We've had some theories for that, like maybe she willfully went with it, but we don't actually know that. Those were just our theories. So the other side of the theories is that, something did happen in her mind when she was captured by the cauldron. Like, we don't know that, and I will give some grace to that. I can't beat on her too hard. Of course I can push my own opinions about her into this, but objectively, yeah. I mean, she has felt similar trauma. Like, she has her own trauma from all that has happened thus far.
And she has her cauldron trauma too.
Yeah. Although it seems like, just from what we figured out, that she got the good end of the stick.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was still the idea of her going in first.
Yeah.
Was traumatic because she didn't know what would happen to her, versus Nesta had some sort of grace where she knew that she'd at least come out alive, if not changed, but like alive in a way. I couldn't imagine be the one going in first and just biting it.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
And then I am actually curious about, because we heard a little bit about what Nesta felt when she went in the cauldron, the feeling of dying, basically, Elaine feeling that. And then what I'm curious is about, like, she came out of the cauldron and realized that Lucien was her mate. Of course, she didn't know what that meant, but I'm curious because, when Rhys felt the mating bond, it was like a physical shock to him that he, like, stumbled back from. And I wonder if it also had some physical feeling of when that mating bond snapped in place for them. And I wonder if that, like, combined with the pain that she was feeling from being spit out of the cauldron, dying in the cauldron, if that had something to do with it too. So I wonder if that helped, quote unquote, helped her trauma get worse. I guess I should say worsened her trauma, and maybe that's also another reason why she doesn't want to be around Lucien, because she associates him becoming her mate with, well, I guess, her worst moment of her life.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. I mean, not kind of, it does. Like, that's her whole thing. She's like, you were there that day, weren't you? Weren't you, like, on Tamlin's side? Oh, yeah, I don't. She said that in Agawar. So she's immediately like, find me again when you want to proceed, and then has this epic exit. And then we're all just sitting there like, okay.
I kind of imagine like a hair flip, and then the moment she's out, she's like, whoa, did I just do that?
No, I thought that was a little bit overboard. But that's also like my perception. I did not think that first time. I was kind of just in Nesta's world, so I didn't really think too much about it. But now listening back, I'm like, felt weird. Though I will say, I don't want to say it's cowardly, but the fact that Nesta calls it cowardly when she looks at Feyre, she's like, why can't you find the cauldron? Da-da-da. And like she explains that. But then I'm thinking to myself, before Feyre gives her explanation and we get this big plot reveal, is that she wasn't made by the cauldron. Why would just because she's made doesn't mean that she's going to have the same sort of access that the sisters would have.
Right.
So that doesn't make any sense to me why even Nesta would. I think she's just trying to find any other avenue besides herself to do it.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I think I agree with you, though, in that sense, of that she is not made by the cauldron. So I don't think it's like specifically says made by the cauldron. It mostly just says made. Mm-hmm. Anyone who's made that can use it. But I feel like there would be that kind of not spoken loophole, or not even a loophole of like she can't do it because she's made, but she can't actually use, or she can only use like parts of it. Like maybe she could use the items, but she can still get affected by them.
Yeah, because we're how open ended is that?
Or she can't get affected by them, but she can't use them.
I just assumed that because she wasn't made cauldron made, then she was immune, or sorry, she wasn't immune to any of that stuff. That all the stuff that works for Nesta and Elaine and Briellen wouldn't work for her at all because she wasn't made by the cauldron. She was made by the High Lord. So I thought that was kind of null and void.
But doesn't the High Lord power come from the cauldron?
I don't think that was ever confirmed. I think that's just speculation.
Because all life, from their lore, all life came from the cauldron.
But I don't think, because they have a direct link. Even that's if true. It was the High Lord's power that was cauldron made, that's not direct.
That's true.
So I don't think so. I think that they're wrong about that, and I think I'm right about that. But I think that they're thinking because she's made, she can do it too. But anyway, it doesn't really matter because guess what?
She can't do it anyway.
Feyre can't do it because
she's preggo.
She's pregnant.
She's pregnant, which explains why Rhys has been more broody than usual.
Which I will say, the thing is, if you know, you know. I knew this for the book, and I can't tell you why, but I knew it.
Huh.
I can't tell you why, but again, for our fans, if you know, you know. And I'm excited because I can't tell you.
Why can't you tell me?
Because I can't.
Why can't you tell me?
It's a spoiler. I can't.
A spoiler for one of the other books?
I can't tell you.
You can't tell me why you can't tell me?
Mm-mm.
You can't tell me why you can't.
All I knew was that she was, when I read this book the first time, I was like, as soon as Rhys put that shield around her, I just knew.
Huh.
I just knew. So I can't say anymore. It's such a minute thing, and it has nothing plot relevance. It's not plot relevant at all. It's just I knew. So
I think I had the inkling of it, but it has nothing to do with spoilers. Because clearly, if it's a spoiler now, then I didn't know the spoiler.
No, it's not.
But when I read it, I had an inkling of okay, something's got to be happening, and Rhys is putting a shield around her.
Well, and I mean, it was very kind of confirmed from the last book that they were trying, and so it doesn't surprise anybody that they actually had. But also, damn, so soon because the Fae, they always talk about how it takes forever.
She's just fertile, I guess.
I think it's because she was human and made. I think
they also spend a lot of time together all night.
I think they've done it a lot. Yes.
It's them as well. Especially because people trying for a baby, they typically do have sex a lot.
Just more than normal.
Yeah.
Well, that was why she was being shielded by Rhys. That it wasn't some big ploy that Helion had. I mean, it was, I think.
I think Helion definitely was helping him build his wards up. But it was for this reason rather than, just training.
Political reason. Well, I bet you that shit's going to come in handy somewhere down the line,
probably.
though. But so they have this, very raw talk about, all these bad things happening, right? And then they get this, and then there's an immediate shift in the room where Cassian just pure laughs and it's hooray!
I think the way that it's done specifically of they look at each other and then the shield just drops, so it's not even telling them first.
Mm-hmm.
It's so then they smell it and they smell a different scent coming from Feyre.
Yeah.
And was it both Cassian and Azriel tackle him, or is it just Cassian?
I think Cassian's the one that gets her in a bear hug and then he clasps onto Rhys and then Azriel comes. Well, and I will say how Nesta was born to be Fae. She realizes Feyre's scent immediately. I don't think out of any of the sisters, Nesta was the one who, because even Feyre was Fae longer than they were before, and she didn't catch on as quickly as Nesta is.
Yeah.
It's almost she's born to it.
Yeah.
She notices Feyre's scent immediately. It said it was a scent twined with something else, new life. So that makes sense. Yeah, we have not begun to see Rhys as overprotective because overprotective daddy, actual daddy.
This child is going to be spoiled and overprotected.
This is so wholesome, and I will say that this is something in the canon that is discussed a lot. It is, if you obviously listen to our spoiler content, we've talked about it before, but Feyre gets a lot of flack for being pregnant in this book, and I wholeheartedly disagree. I think I agree. I can understand where some of the critic people in the fandom are coming from about this, but I don't think that it's a pregnancy trope of like, she gets pregnant and then we're never going to see her again, and then she becomes we've talked about this, so if you want to go back in some of our spoiler content, we do talk about it, but all I want to say is that just because somebody becomes a mother doesn't mean that their badassness or their independent woman or whatever Feyre represented to the community changes in any way.
Right. I mean, mothers are badass.
She's still all of those things. And I think people were worried that she was just going to become like a, just keep getting pregnant and stuff. Right. But like, I don't think that's her.
Autumn of Lady, or Lady of Autumn all over again.
We don't want that to be her. And I don't think SJM would go that way. Yeah. I think if anything, Feyre's going to maybe have two, three kids, and that's it.
I'm thinking 3, because, 3 is a common thing.
Yeah. So I love Cassian so much because of how he reacts. He's like, no wonder you've been moody and, whatever. And Amryn, like, congratulations, girl. I love how they immediately forget all the shit that just happened and are like, yeah, what was his starting offer? The shield was a compromise, that he never leave my side for the next 10 months. Huh.
Which, also 10 months, it's slightly longer for Faye. It seems, rather than the human 9 months.
I do appreciate how Nesta said, like, she read it in a book once, and I'm like, okay, she's more the Belle than Feyre was.
Yeah.
Because, like, she reads shit in books and it's like, oh, I read about that.
Right.
Though, I think it gets really real, though, when they look to Nesta to see how she'll react. Because everyone else is having their moment, but it's almost like a mirror to Frost and Starlight, where it's like she's looking through a window. She's in the room, but it's like she's looking through a window at them and not really interacting.
Right.
So, of course, yeah, God help this child. They have Cassian and Azriel as uncles, and then Nesta as an aunt.
Yeah. Rhys and Feyre as parents, Cassian and Azriel as uncles. Don't forget Auntie Amryn.
I think Amryn would be more like a grandma.
Yeah, that's true.
She's grandma.
She'd be like Mima from Young Sheldon.
Yes, the fun grandma that lets you do drugs.
Yeah. Definitely. And then Nesta as an aunt. Well, Elaine technically as also an aunt.
Well, I mean, I meant more in the sense of like Nesta being more volatile. But the thing is, true. I don't think Nesta would have a problem with kids. I don't think kids would really be scared of her.
No, which I think is actually like a cool thing of like, she's like, so many people are, even especially the adults, they're all scared of her, but then kids are going to be like, cool.
I just love how Cassian is still the one to bring up funny, like, Feyre's like, you're going to be an aunt. And then he's like, God help this child. Most importantly, Rhys and Nesta have a stare contest for half a second of dominance because he's like,
I'm gonna fight you.
I love how she doesn't describe Cassian like this, I'm gonna say. She describes Rhys as a female, pure, threatening, dominant, versus like Cassian is not a quote unquote female to her. He's more human. Yeah. He's more human-like. And so she kind of gives him a nod of, I mean no harm.
Right.
And Rhys Sand sort of backs off a little bit.
Right, of like, despite my volatile nature, I would never harm a child kind of thing, especially I will never harm my sister child.
Right. And of course, Elaine was the first to figure this out because who would have guessed they lived together? That's just already, I mean, she said she caught her throwing up one morning. I'm like, okay. But do you think she used her powers to see that though? I bet you how much
I was
gonna say already.
I was going to ask the same thing of like, you think she's used seer?
Oh, 100%.
Which I think is interesting that I just said use, like rather than just happens to have a vision that she's pregnant.
Use, yeah. So unfortunately, we can't tell Mor or Varian yet because Rhys doesn't want the news to spread that there's a kid about. Because I will say, there's two things I want to say here. Number one, I think it's any birth of an heir, again, like Cassian goes into this later, which I'll go into a little bit later, but like the first son doesn't mean heir. But like we've talked about that before, like they've said that in the lore, but I think the first child of a High Lord, I think, is a big deal for the kingdom, I think. Well, not even just for the Night Court, but just like the Prythian in general. Yeah. Because a new leader is coming about. A possible new leader.
Right. And especially born of Feyre and Rhys. So Rhys, the most powerful High Lord, and Feyre, a culmination of all High Lords.
That's the second thing I was going to say, is that I totally understand why Rhys wants to keep this under wraps, because their child is going to be, well, first of all, their child either going to be a muggle,
Right.
There's going to be no power in that child whatsoever.
But still becomes a great warrior.
Yes, very much so. Or he's going to be like powerful enough to like, to me, my guess is to cross worlds. I think that kid's going to have the power to cross universes and shit, which I think would be really cool. But anyway.
I feel like it could also, with the keeping it under wraps thing, I think also, like, just thinking Baron, for example. Baron hears that they have a kid, and it's like, well, Feyre had some of my power, so what if this kid has some of my power? I haven't succeeded in killing Feyre, so let me kill the kid.
Well, I think that's what Rhys is scared about, but I also think something maybe the other High Lords are scared about that's not even just threatening as in Baron. If this child has all of the powers of the High Lord, that could be a potential king of Prithia.
Maybe Rhys isn't going to be the High King, but this child.
Because, like, that would be, like, if you got, like, one person that's got all the, and it's a man, because, again, we're still living in this timeline.
Yeah.
Even though the Night Court is more female-centric, I think that would cause alarm.
Yeah.
Because that could potentially mean monarchy, and they don't want that. So I like the political indications of this, and I totally understand why Rhys wants to keep it under wraps. So, of course, so basically what Feyre says here is that what's very interesting about her pregnancy is that she can winnow, but somehow using her powers might hurt the child or could like strain her body, which I like the realisticness of that. Of it, you know, not her being still unstoppable pregnant. Like there are limits to a fae when pregnant. Yeah. Like that's what makes it so vulnerable. Yeah. And that's why Rhys gets so protective, is because that even using her magic, let's say somebody did want to come and hurt her. She couldn't really use her magic because she'd hurt kid. Right. So there's a level, there's a reason why he's actually protective over her, because if someone did come to hurt her, she couldn't use her powers like normal.
I mean, luckily she's had training with Cassian, so she has some level of being able to physically defend. But then again,
and
if someone comes at her with magic, she wouldn't be able to defend against that. And if someone came at her physically, she still would have a little bit more of a weakness, because she'd have to be protecting her belly, as well as, you know, she probably would be a bit slower.
Right.
Anyway, so it is rightfully so. Rightfully so that Rhys is more protective than usual.
So again, obviously she can't do anything. Oh, so remember back when Liesl, I think this was on another episode, you said something about how Rhys is all about choice.
Yeah.
And it's like, in this moment, I did have that moment where it was like, she's like, Nesta says something about, I don't know if I can do it. Like, it doesn't seem like I have a choice now.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you always have a choice here. But the thing is, they know this. If Elaine is in harm's way, there is no choice in Nesta's mind about whether or not Elaine's going to do it.
Right.
So to be fair, like, yes, Rhys, at least thank you for saying that again to her. But in reality, no, it's not.
It's like, yeah, you always have a choice, but we've also kind of led the witness here. We've kind of pushed your decision in a way. Yeah, you'll have the choice to say no, but if you do, there's going to be consequences of Elaine doing this.
And probably sucking. I'm not going to lie.
Probably.
So the boys have their me time. They go into Rhys's study, I'm assuming, and Nesta hears them in the other room, like, getting really excited.
Yeah.
Because they know the sex. So Feyre walks Nesta to the door, and she's kind of standing in the hallway with her, and it's like, it's a boy. And part of me was just like, how did they know that? And I was like, oh, the bone carver, yes. Yeah. Like, they, you know, so there is some...
At first it was also like, I guess they're kind of assuming, though.
But they are, but we don't know.
But at the same time, didn't the bone carver then on one of the later meetings, well, what about your firstborn?
Yeah.
So actually, I stand corrected.
So Nesta and her kind of have a heart-to-heart here. This is kind of the first time they're alone, really.
Yeah.
For this, I mean, they were alone before, but it was very heated. I wanted you to know first. I didn't realize how much I wanted a boy until I knew I'd bear one. Likely because having sisters was so horrible for you.
Not really, but, like, glad to know that's where your mind is.
Nesta, like, is so... In moments like these, I'm just like, I can't back her. We know that Feyre didn't mean anything by that. Like, that was just a genuine moment of, like, oh, I didn't think I'd be excited to have a boy until you know, I'm bearing one. It's like, there was no pointed to that, so she just made it pointed.
Right.
I do appreciate, though, it's like, Feyre's actually genuinely having a moment here with her. Yeah. She's trying to. She's like, you know, it wasn't fair that Elaine put that all on you. We both have done that to her about the trauma. We both have kind of used her trauma and made it about us instead of it being about her. She shouldn't have just thrown it at you.
Right.
And even Nesta explains, it's like the fact that Feyre was trying to be so kind with her made her reel back. Because she's like, why? Why are you, like, even after all this, why are you still trying to be nice to me? Like, I can't understand it. But of course, Cassian's voice spares her from thinking too much.
Yeah.
Then he comes to whisk her way back up to their house on the hill, basically. I mean, yeah, it's hell yeah. So, chapter 12. Oh my god, I'm so hyped. So, set the scene. Cassian and Az are sitting in their, like, it's kind of like their common room, adjoined to their rooms. And apparently, I love how he sets the scene, though, because we've never really been in this place before, is that Reese, Moore, and Cass and Az all have their own sitting arrangements. Like, Azriel sits in that chair, and I sit in this one.
Yeah.
That's Moore's and Reese's seats. Even though they don't really go up to the House of Wind too much.
Yeah.
They're sitting in there, talking about all of this. Very much like a men sitting in the parlor scene. This sounded so much like Bridgerton, it was crazy.
Oh, can I just, sorry, the thing that just popped into my head. I was just gonna say about the kind of seating arrangements, how everyone has their own seat. That, like, oddly, it's, as humans, we look for that kind of, like, consistency as well. Like, in any classrooms we had, like, it was like, okay, this is the seat that you've picked at the beginning of the semester, and unless you come in late, that's always your seat. Even if you come in late, it's often your seat.
Yeah.
Or, like, for me at home in the living room, we had, Dad always sat here, I always sat here, Mom always took up the side couch, and then, my brother wasn't often with us, but, then the dogs had their own places, and it's, like, kind of weird how we just settle into that kind of routine for things. So in a sitting room like this, I can totally understand.
It's a natural thing to happen.
Yeah.
It's another way to make them human.
Yeah.
It is funny how Cassian brings up that he loves fall, but, like, hates the autumn court, which is something, the only reason I picked that up was because that's you. You love fall, but hate the autumn court.
Yeah, mostly.
Whatever.
I like two people from Mono.
That's true. And I love how Cassian does understand Nesta's motivations completely, because Cassian has said this before, that he would take the line of fire for Reese or Azriel any day. Like, if it was between him and his brothers, he would. And the fact that Reese didn't tell Cassian about that, about the Under the Mountain thing, is kind of the same thing of not telling Nesta maybe about putting Elaine in harm's way, and then she gets mad about it afterward. They were a direct parallel right there. And honestly, he's the only one trying to fight for her not to do it.
Yeah.
He's like, why does it have to be her? I mean, part of it is because he loves her.
Yeah.
And he wants to keep her out of harm's way. But also, like, he's really the only one that's standing up for her, and I'm like, good for you, man. And he doesn't care. You guys all don't care about her, but I do. Yeah, I mean, he knows the last time she scried what happened and, like, how bad it was. And he tells, this is kind of like an end conversation thing for Azriel, because Azriel keeps trying to say she needs to scry, we need to make her do it. And then, he also has his motivations for not having Elaine do it either, for sure. But he said, Cassian tells Azriel to let Nesta exhaust all of her other options until scrying. So, like, looking in books, or, I don't know, finding another way to do it without having to scry, even though they know she's going to end up having to scry anyway.
Right.
Just let her do it.
Right.
But time is not of the essence, but who cares? When is time ever of the essence? And of course, yes, we all know Azriel saved Elaine. Don't have to keep reminding us. It's like, I know I saved her. They changed subjects. You don't want to hear all about that. So this is where Cassian does tell us about the High Lord thing, is that it's not always the firstborn son and that it jumps around magically, which the SJM keeps bringing that up, which makes me totally think that whoever is going to die, and whatever High Lord is going to die and that doesn't have an heir or whatever, is going to go to somebody who, just out of the blue. That's going to happen. She keeps bringing it up, and it's going to happen. I just don't know who it's going to happen to.
Right.
It could happen to Helan. It could happen to Tamlin. It could happen, honestly, to Tarquin. He doesn't have any children either.
Callias.
Could happen to him, too. Like, literally all of them are kind of heirless at the moment, except for Baron. And
although if they keep that up, like, the heirs are just going to keep dying off.
Yeah, because they've already, some of his sons have already
They've lost 2. I'm surprised they haven't lost more.
Though, this is where it gets really intimate, because you think you'll ever be ready for one. Cassian says this to Azriel. I don't know. It doesn't matter what I want. Oh, no. It seems like you have something you want to say to that.
The it doesn't matter what I want kind of thing, I feel like could also reference, like, maybe if he is more into males, like, doesn't just have to be Osric, because, like, doesn't matter if he wants children if he's into males kind of thing. But at the same time, then, like, maybe adoption might be a thing. But we haven't really heard of much adoption.
It's not like I'm against, like, a gay relationship in here. here. I think it's more like my first reaction wasn't gay. Like my reaction to him saying it doesn't matter what I want is him feeling like there's been no female that has ever wanted to be with him.
That's
so
true.
He's like, oh, it doesn't really matter what I want because no one's wanted to be with me. So like I took it as that, not as like a gay
thing. I think I did take it more that way the first time I read it, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Though when Cassian does talk about how it seems like he's been a buffer between him and Moore for years, but now it's kind of, he doesn't need to do it as much. He's like, I wonder why that's happening. And then I'm sitting there fucking screaming at my book being like, you lovable dumbass. Why do you think he doesn't want to be with Moore anymore? Because he has another potential love interest. Right there.
Or maybe he's found out about Moore's secret. He is a spy master after all.
Just randomly, yeah. I mean, I don't doubt that either.
I think we've even talked about before that maybe he already knew.
I feel like he did, and then it was like, I mean, dude, Moore said it to Feyre in the camp where he could have easily spied on her.
Yeah.
So
he could have been in the shadows.
Or his shadows could have been listening. I don't know.
Yeah, they listen to everything. I mean, probably because it's like, well, Feyre just, she's in the war camp, but she's off to the side, duty as protector of my high lady. Gotta make sure she's safe.
So I love how when Azriel gives him the reverse of Cassian, it's like, Cassian, are you wanting the child? All he can think about, the first thing he thinks about is leaving Nesta, like, unsatisfied. And he's like, that's all he can think about when he asks him that.
Yeah.
And it's like, Cassian would be a perfect dad. Ugh.
He would.
Oh my God.
He would be a girl's dad.
He would. I love how when he talks about it is that he would make sure that his child would know that it's loved and that it's accepted.
Yeah.
I'm like,
he would be
he didn't feel like that.
Yeah, he'd be a better parent than, he didn't really know his mom. He'd be a father that wasn't cruel.
Hell yeah. God, I really want them to have a kid. Though I will say, he says that he very similar to Reese says that has been no female that's come along that has tempted him to have children until now. Until now. But he's also waiting for the mating bond. He said it's like he's waiting for the mating bond like Reese. Build that life with someone.
Well, our theory.
Yeah, I think
theory is, well, you haven't really felt about it until Nesta showed up, and then you're also waiting for the mating bond. We personally think that, that's the mating bond. So big. That's two
Which
birds,
is
one stone.
So interesting that the mating bond happened so quickly for Reese in the sense of he kind of knew it but didn't voice it, and then when it did happen, it was very one-sided.
Yeah.
And you can understand Feyre's ignorance about it because she just turned Fae.
Right.
But you'd think if it was the mating bond between them that he would have noticed it by now.
Yeah.
Because he's been searching for it so much, why doesn't it make sense?
But it also feels like, because we've kind of seen that mating bond is different for two that we've got. So it could also be he's looking for how maybe Reese has described it, whereas it would be different for him.
Well, yeah, because you mean like Callias and Vivian.
Yeah.
How it was, they didn't have the mating bond until their first time.
Right.
It didn't sink in until then.
Right.
Snap into place, I mean.
And then Lucian snapped into place when he saw
abruptly.
Very abruptly.
Very similar to Reese's.
That's true.
Theirs were more similar.
That's true. Yeah, and then Reese snapped in, and then it didn't snap for Feyre until sex.
Yeah. Or she didn't accept it.
Yeah.
Because she didn't know it was there. Because she thought it was the bargain.
Right.
The whole time. And it wasn't. Also, he's not listening to Azriel at this point. He's like, okay. Anytime this is kind of realistic though, to hearing a bit of news and being like, hey, fuck it, life's short. Turn a blind eye, chaperone. And then it's like, oh my God, what is he gonna do? I was like, dude, is this where sex is gonna happen? I'm curious.
Well, the chaperone has already been turning a blind eye.
This whole time. So, God, that was kind of hot. I just imagine him getting up abruptly and then Azriel just looking at him being like, what? And then the very movie-esque Dutch angle moment of him looking over, turn a blind eye, moving forward.
Leaving out the door and Azriel being like, I guess I'm not staying here tonight.
I guess I'm going to be somewhere else. So Nesta, curled up with a book in bed, we're getting to her POV again. There's a knock at the door. She's like, yes. The handle turned and there he was.
And there he was.
Ah! has his hand on the door handle as he has his back to the door, and he is just checking her out in her silk nightgown and her hair unbound. It's the first time he's ever seeing her with her hair down.
Ooh, we know that's a special moment.
Oh yeah, because a guy like him would love like a girl with long.
Yeah.
The fact that she can tell that he's aroused is amazing. Because again, she's so Fae. Like, she's very Fae like when she describes it more than any other of the sisters.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, I smell the dark, musty scent, it's like, oh, I noticed.
Describing what arousal actually smells like.
Uh-huh.
Rather than, oh, look, he's hard. That must mean he's aroused.
She makes it pretty clear not to look down first. Yeah. It said it was muskier than usual. She's like, she'd bet all her money it was arousal. It's like, yep, you're right.
You're right.
I've never seen you with your hair down. It's beautiful. Okay, now she's gonna look at his dick.
He felt it.
So he's like fucking straining in his pants, and she's just like,
oh boy.
Why are you here?
Why are you here at this time?
What are you doing here at this time of night? I love how she's like, here for more. And then he is, oh my god, this whole scene, guys, by the way, this made me blush. I don't think any of the scenes in the first couple of books made me blush as hard as this. Or as hard as like any of the ones in this book. Maybe it is because it's Cassian, I don't know. But,
probably, that has something to do with it.
I am here to settle the debt between us.
Well, I don't think she was thinking there was a debt, but okay.
Yeah, she was so confused. She was like, what's going on? Like, what do you mean? She's probably had to do that a bunch of times where she got left unsatisfied.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, it's just commonplace. Male pride is a thing of wonder. Okay, there's only a few quotes that I'll bring up, but like this one is pretty bad. She's like, the only mistake was that I came before I could taste you. And Nesta's just sitting there like me, like Cassian went on. The only mistake was that you ran off before I could get on my knees.
So we've mentioned this before, males on their knees.
God damn. I don't know how I would react to this. I think at first I would be like Ness, I'd be like, okay. And then as soon as like he started saying shit like that, I'd be like, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to say. I'm dying inside. Legit. Girl, also quit bringing up his friends while he's like trying to romance you. She's like, aren't your friends gonna say this was a mistake? Stop bringing them up.
Doesn't matter what they think right now.
Honestly, no. Fuck them.
I mean, Azrael's probably locked himself in his room or already left.
He's gone, dude. I don't think...
No one else knows what happens up here except maybe the house.
He doesn't know if they're gonna bang or if this is just like a subtle thing.
Yeah.
So better be safe than sorry. So I guess this is staying out of training then? Because they're both making it very clear, like, stays out of training. This is just... sex.
Which, okay, I'm glad that he says it stays out of, that they say stays out of training. That's a good rule. But first of all, that's gonna fail. Second of all, whenever it's said just sex, and we've been in both characters' minds, either it's not gonna work as just sex, or the just sex is gonna end up becoming the one blocker to stop them from becoming a couple. Because it's like, oh, these aren't actually real feelings for him, it's just the sex.
What a turnoff to say when you're like getting aroused and then someone just says, just sex, nothing else. It's like, ugh. Okay, way to take the fun out of it. All right.
But I suppose sex is still okay? Yeah.
I guess I've never been that person, so I can't speak to that. I can't speak to like emotionless sex.
As being our demisexual selves.
Well, I don't think that exists. Like, I don't think you can just, I think that's, you can't like have no emotion in sex. There is a emotion to it. Maybe not an emotion to the person, but like, there's an emotion to the act.
I typically think of demisexual as in, like, you need a romantic connection first.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't classify myself as demi, because I feel like I could make out with somebody and not feel like I need an emotional connection. But not like I don't even think it's that. I don't even know. Like, I feel like that's a rabbit hole that I don't even know where to go. But like,
yeah, and we don't need labels for all of it, but I definitely thought of like demisexual as like going into the actual sex of it, but needing a romantic connection to go into actual sex.
Well, it's because like I think that's where I get confused, because I think that there is no emotionless sex. Like, even if you don't know somebody, like,
that's true, but
there's always emotion tied to it. It's
not necessarily a romantic.
Yeah, but I think somebody saying that like something can be just sex, that's never true. I think that's just a big old lie. So he's like grappling on his door and fucking shaking, and she's like, yes. And unleashing, damn, he launches himself at her. There's like ripping clothes off, and it's like, but like the hot way, not the Tamlin way. Because the last time we had ripping clothes off.
We're not shredding the nightgown.
Yeah, it's like, it's just, well, she's actually ripping his clothes off. I don't think he rips her nightgown off.
Yeah.
Also, girlies, can I just ask, is there a thing about not wearing underwear? Because like that cringes me. The fact that she's wearing a nightgown but no underwear, I feel like that cringes me out more than just sleeping naked. Because at least if you're sleeping naked, at least you know. But it's like, if you're wearing the nightgown, might as well just put on some. It comes with, nightgowns come with underwear normally. Like a silk one like this. So the fact that she's not wearing any, I'm like, oh, I'm cringe. Do you not wear underwear with a nightgown?
I don't wear nightgowns.
Well, no, I know you don't, but have you ever worn one? Oh. I just think not wearing underwear with something like that is weird. But that's just mine. I was like, God damn. But also she knew. It was supposed to be a thing of like, she knew.
I think I agree that, I mean, maybe that's just the kind of maybe a TMI warning here, but that's kind of like just a thing of like not wearing underwear is just weird devil.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Maybe that's just because I'm very, very private, very to myself.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I think that's weird. If you don't agree, that's fine. Like, I don't judge others. I think it's more like a me thing. Well, I guess I am judging Nesta in this moment, but okay, there's slight judgment, but at the same time, like, I don't think you're gross. I think it's more just like, I wouldn't do that. And the way it describes him kissing all the way down her because he's like moving the nightgown down with his kisses, it's so romantic. See, that in itself is romantic. If it was just sex, that wouldn't happen. That is so romantic.
His goal is literally because of, like, he says it's because of his pride. His goal is to literally leave her satisfied. So he's got to build up to it.
Satisfied. Though I will say what kind of confused me about reading this back, though, it means nothing, but I was like, so he pulled up her night, so he pulled it up like this. Found out she had no underwear. He got like all growly. But then the thing is, took it from the top too.
Yeah.
So it was just like in the middle of her at some point.
Yeah. That's actually pretty common.
No, I know it's common, but I'm just like, damn, just take it off. Like, I feel like that would bother me. I mean, it wouldn't bother me if it was Cassian, but I think that would bother me in a real life situation where I just like, okay, take it off. Don't. But the fact that he like kisses her all the way down, that's nice.
I'm also just thinking that it might be symbolic of the nature of just sex, where it's like, okay, we're not getting completely undressed. We're not exposing all of our deepest things.
Oh, so you think like, it was like a...
I mean, this is just how I'm taking it. It could be that Sarah wrote it this way on purpose, or just... Anyway, but it's to me, it's just... They're not completely exposing themselves to each other. It's like, this is just the sex, so I got the parts I need. I see the lower parts and I see your breasts.
But it is sweet. I enjoy it. I just love how this scene is written. And of course, gets to her breasts. And then I also like how it says like the dark laughing. I need him now, da da da. And so she tries to grab for his dick again, and then no dick tonight. It's you.
Yep.
You. And so I guess no dick, just getting ate out, I guess.
Yeah, he doesn't want to come again.
Oh,
not that quick.
What she dreamed of for so long in the hours of the night. I'm gonna say this visual feel like would make me already like, even she's like, I'm all ready before he like even does anything.
Yeah.
His head lowered and all she could see was his dark hair gliding by the lamps and his exquisite rings rising up above them. So he's lowering his face down to her, and then all she sees is the wings. And I'm like,
wings. Wing fetish.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. I don't think that's very common to get ate out. I don't think that's very common.
No.
So the thing is, it's everywhere in literature, but I don't think it's everywhere out there.
To get eaten out all the way to completion is the rare thing.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's true. Oh my god. Just like the visual. I'm just like having, okay, I'm back.
You're having a ball with this.
Yes, because oh my god. The fact that it's like one hand and then it takes his tongue and like one swipe. The world refractured again, and then her mind is having a fucking seizure. Like, she does not know what to do. Do you think any of those other guys ate her out? Nah, I don't think so. I think she went down on them, but I don't think they did on her.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I doubt they even fingered her.
Nah. Well, maybe, but like not to like you were talking about. No. It's like, and then he's like, oh, you're more delicious than that I dreamed of. I think I understand why this was more blush worthy to me than Rhysand. Rhysand doesn't talk a lot. I mean, he does, but it's very lovingly. It's very romantic. It's like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful. You're my highlight, whatever, which is sweet. I don't mind that. But he's like crass. He's like, oh, you're wet. You taste like whatever. And like, so it's way more blush worthy for me. And I think that's why. It's because there's more talking. I think it's because there's more crassness that like it makes me blush.
I see that.
Even thinking about it. And also like the panting and fingering. I'm blushing, dude. I don't even know how to respond. Anyway, it's like holy gods, Nesta, and then damn, she is so beat by the end of this. She is just like dead on the bed. Like she's just limp, dead on the bed. And this motherfucker, he's like, all right, peace, bye,
have a good night.
Oh my god, the ultimate tease, dude. She's like. And she's like reaching out like a fucking kid.
She's like, no, I want to touch you.
It's like, I want sex. And he's like, gets his shirt, puts it back on. Okay, have a nice evening. And then we are even now.
So that means next time you can go all the way, both completion. Right?
Why did it? See, guys, it's a problem. Why is in my notes, I just went, come back here and fuck me.
Come back and fuck me right now.
So I was just like, come on, you bastard, son of a bitch. How do I go to training the next day?
Get your sexy ass back here and fuck me.
That's what I wrote in my notes. Again, I'm doing the people's work.
Yes, very much.
But the thing is, that was my first thought. You're welcome. So yeah, how do we go to training the next day, Cassian?
I mean, that's what they said. This doesn't affect training.
How? I could not. Like, I'm literally shaking right now. How could you? I could not pretend.
Which is why I said that it's probably going to fail to keep this out of training.
He said watching Nesta come was a religious experience. I'm like, hallelujah.
Take him to church.
Also, he said he was about to come again. That's why he left. He's like, I don't come in this room. No.
Come without being touched? That's pretty powerful.
So it is Cassian's perspective up at the top of the house to win the next day. And he said, the fact, girl, SJM, the fact that she makes this way more like explicit, she's like, he said he pumped himself dry. Yeah. What a fucking line.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that even mean? Like, I know what that means, but like, goddamn, how many times is that? Because if it's more than the 3 times he did before, that must be a lot. And the fact that he said he washed his hands a dozen times, I'm like, dude, what? That's such a realistic thing, though. I bet. But the thing is, you can still smell them on each other. Sorry, I'm just... And then, of course, Nesta coming in stoic as always, but then guess who's behind her? Azriel. Just smirking so hard at Cassian. It's like, I can tell. Dude, it's been 2 years since he's had sex. And then I'm literally writing in my notes, I'm like, try 25, bitch. Try 25 years without sex. Sorry. LOL. Also, as is fucking cock blocking in the morning, I'm assuming. Like, I
probably
think if he wasn't there, something else could have happened.
They would have messed with the sacredity of the ring.
Yeah, and we don't want that.
No.
So, I think the fact that Nesta's a little embarrassed about Azriel knowing is kind of sweet. It's kind of cute a little bit. Because she's like tying her laces or whatever, and he's like, am I interrupting something? And she's like... Nothing's wrong. What do you mean? It's like, that's the part of her human where it comes out. She's like, oh, I forgot that he could also smell us too. Damn.
Yep. And now Azriel's actually kind of doing his job as chaperone.
That's true.
So Race can't say he did nothing.
So he says Azriel's up there because he wants to do some training himself before heading out. We're starting hand-to-hand combat. Ooh,
of course you're starting that the day after.
Oh boy. But your boy seems to like sword play more than hand play. See, I know that inside joke.
Yeah.
But he doesn't like to get up close and personal, so that's why he likes swords more. I feel like you want to say something, but you're not allowing yourself to say it.
No.
You don't, or you do?
Yes. No, I talk enough about Azur Says It Is. I don't want to become repetitive and annoying.
But I will say how it gets a little bit sweet, though, of Cassian talking about how Nesta reacts to Azriel, about how even Feyre was a little bit intimidated by Azriel, but Nesta kind of looks at Azriel with the same look she gives everyone.
Yeah.
And he's not really special, and she doesn't... Well, okay, obviously he is special. Yeah. But, like, she's not scared of him, and she doesn't really show that she's scared of him. And in a way that makes Az like her more, because...
They can be besties now.
It's sweet in a way.
And if Nesta becomes Cassian's wife, then they're going to be, well, indirectly sister and brother-in-law.
Yeah, they are. It's gonna be,
and they'll be besties.
They're already brothers-in-law, technically.
Oh yeah, technically.
But like, is that incest? No.
No.
They're just all bonded by marriage.
Yeah.
Got it. So Nesta kind of was like, nah, I want to see y'all fight, which was a good idea. Want to see them fight for sure. Honestly, I think it was just a ploy to get them to get their shirts off.
It was a ploy to get Cassian's shirt off, but Azriel certainly...
It came off too.
That certainly helped make the scene a little hotter. I mean, it was already hot, but, you know, for my personal tastes.
Oh my god. I mean, I would abuse the shit out of that if I could get them to take their shirts off and then fight in front of me.
You know, hand to hand, getting all close and personal and sweaty too.
So it seems like Cassian brings up a good plot point about why it seems like Azriel still is in shape, is that he always trains without everybody. So he'll like train in the night up at the top of the house of when no one is paying attention.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's your night boy for sure. As soon as I heard that he was training on the top of the house of Wind, I was like, yep, that's a Liesl. That's a Liesl boy for sure.
At night.
So they start. I love this whole scene where it's almost like we're getting a deep dive into how they fight versus Feyre seeing them spar before was different. It was kind of just off to the side and not really. It's like, oh, they move fast, but not really watching it. And so it's almost like a process. They begin circling each other, and we get to hear Cassian strategize, and it's really hot, by the way. Like, because it's like who makes the first move? Cassian and Azriel are kind of evenly matched because Azriel is faster and quicker, but Cassian's more bulkier and heavier. So he has packed more of a punch than him. So they're pretty, like, they could go on for hours, he said. So at first they taunt each other because they want to see who's going to move first or who's going to make the first move. But Azriel takes the bait when Cassian tends to look Nesta's way to see if, she's looking. But then he takes the bait, and then I love the description of their fight and how, it's very much matches what he's been teaching Nesta, like the combinations, and
he's actually using what he teaches.
Fists, wings, punch, block, kick, and the fact that neither of them are putting their full force into their punches because they'd actually hurt each other.
Right.
Like they're holding back, which is, it's pretty hard when you're learning how to do it the first time to actually pull back because you've been taught how to do it full force.
Right.
So that when you're trying to pull back, it's a little harder.
Right. And I like the idea of like, okay, we're going to show you like at regular speed and then I'll slow it down for you, break down the move. Right. Rather than trying to be like, okay, let's do it slow, step by step, and then we show you full.
They do that a lot in fight choreo too.
Yeah. Show you what it's supposed to look like first.
Yeah. And I love how because like the fact that Cassian says they could go on for hours because they're both just born for this.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, the next person who hits the other person wins. And then Azriel's like, hell no. He's a vicious competitor. We don't go until one of us eats dirt. That's also you. That is a JK comparison if I'd ever heard one.
Yeah.
A JK BTS comparison if you don't know who that is. If you don't know who that is, you need to get cultured. That's hot though. I'm not gonna lie.
He's competitive, and it's like, even though like doing training, Azriel's still considering it of like, okay, even though like you're showing Nesta how to do this, like you're not just gonna back out of this. Like, are you scared or something like that?
Well, and the fact that he describes it as saying that like him and Reese, they do it at cards, chess, whatever. Like they'll do it. Azriel competes on everything.
Yeah.
So it's like
he always likes to win.
Okay. So of course Azriel goes for kind of the deep cut. So at some point he kind of fakes a look at Nesta like, oh, there, something's happening to her.
Yes, Nesta left.
And he looks because he knows that's his weakness.
He fell for that bait too.
He fell for the bait that he put on him at the beginning. Oh my
Smart.
God. So of course,
that's my boy.
Azriel wins. And dude, the fact that when like Cassian looks at Nesta and she's like red cheek, I mean, me too, bitch. Like both of them. Of course, she tries to deny it, but I mean,
she's like, it's hot in here.
We're outside. So, like, what are you talking about? You're drooling. If there's anything enticing, it was seeing Azriel punch your face. It's like, keep telling yourself that. The fact that he knows now how much it's nice that he has like finally some sort of confirmation that she wants him badly.
Yeah, some kind of reassurance with that.
Yeah, that like before he didn't have. So now like when he's cockier with her, she's getting more like, no. And he's like, no.
And he feels less uncertain about himself.
I know how you reacted to me fingering you the other night. And she's like, why would you bring that up? Well, now I got ammunition. You gave me ammunition now. So
I'm drilling too over Azrael punching him because Azrael.
Versus I'm just sitting here like, low blow.
You can sit with Nesta and watch Cassian, and I'll just take Azrael to myself.
I know, but the thing is, what she says later, I'm like, I kind of agree. So we get Nesta's POV. She's down in the library, and she actually goes up to Gwen, because she's sitting like at a desk outside of Meryl's office.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, so what do you know about the Dread Trove? And Gwen's, why would you think that she had any indication of what that is?
Yeah.
Gwen has no idea what she's talking about. I get where she's coming from. She wants to find somebody who knows the stuff in the library enough to maybe that she can, I don't know, see somebody that knows those books.
Yeah.
And could find maybe something about the Dread Trove, but also I don't understand why she would think she knows it right off the bat. But whatever. I digress.
Right.
She talks about training a little bit. She kind of has this memorabilia moment of that, like, after the hot scene, they don't laugh at her when she tries to replicate their moves, which I feel like is something stupid to say because you'd think, why would they be laughing? But dude, guys, do that.
I also really appreciate the fact that Nesta didn't want to train at the Illyrian camp because people would watch her. But she has no problem with Azrael watching her.
No, she doesn't.
So that means she feels comfortable enough with him. That warms my heart.
It does. But then what warms her heart even more is that she says, and she has this full-on monologue about how she'd been sweating herself when they'd finished, wondering what it'd be like between those two male bodies, letting them turn all that lethal attention on worshiping her. Hell yeah.
Okay, I have, like, seen things about that and, like, heard things about that. I don't agree with it personally. But I can also see the understanding, like, with the fantasizing thing. It's kind of hard not.
So you don't want there to be a threesome between Nesta, Azrael, and Cassian? I mean, I don't think I want that either. I'm putting myself, I don't care about Nesta. I'm saying myself. I'm like, dude, if it was Cassian, and there would be nothing afterward. I'd be done. I'd be dead.
You can have Cassian.
Though, you know what the first thing that popped into my head was?
Huh.
I was like, what if it becomes canon about a Gwen Azrael Nessian foursome? It'd be wild.
That definitely would be wild.
I could see it though.
Personally, I kind of could too.
I could see it, but I'm not like, I mean, again, I'm not like, yeah, let it happen. It's more like I can see it happen.
I think I could see it more of like if Cassian was with Nesta and then Azrael was with Gwen, like respectively, like sticking with their part, but then like in the same room kind of thing.
Well,
and I know I've talked about like how I think of like those kind of non-monogamous relations and like sex moments, of how like typically I would either like I would want them all to be involved with each other or to stay separate and with their significant other, but then be in the same room. Like it kind of has to be just like.
I feel like it would be more weird if like we were doing stuff separately than doing it together. Like if I'm gonna have a 4-way, like it, just the fact of like if it was like Cassie and Nesta together in one part of the room and then them, I think that's weirder.
No, I feel like they would be like next to each other. Like it could be both of them on the bed.
Okay, but okay, fair. But I just maybe first of all, neither of us know what that is.
No.
So I wouldn't really know since I myself have not been in that position.
All I've got is the research I've done for my writing.
Oh my God.
I've written a couple 3-ways, a couple 4-ways, but it's different.
Though I do appreciate how she's like, Elaine would, be so aghast that she's already had a 3-way with 2 men before. She's had multiple 3-ways. And I'm like, okay, Nesta, all right. And the fact that Cass beats the 3-way, that is wild.
Also, doesn't it bring back Frost and Starlight where Favor was just like, she's probably thinking about which of these 3 she's going to bring home. Maybe all 3 of them.
Honestly, it might have been.
She probably has.
So, I mean, again, Nesta has a very me moment of going to sex and then going back to what actually matters.
Yeah.
So she's like, she only tells Gwen about the trove because she needs to find it. She doesn't tell her about the behind the scenes or that Brie Ellen or even that Favor's pregnant or whatever. Like, they're not on that level of trust. But she's in the night court. It makes sense to tell this person because Gwen's not going to leave the library.
Right.
So, if anything, there's nobody coming in and out of the library that frequently that would be anyone to tell. So she's pretty much safe to tell.
Right.
I appreciate that Nesta is coming to an expert of the library to find out because there could be something written down there about it. And it seems like Gwen is under Meryl's, like, what I would say.
Supervision.
Her tutelage, too? Like, she's under her supervision. Like, it means that she's a little bit more adept at this stuff than the other priestesses. Because if Meryl is that much of a bitch, I bet you she got the best to be her assistant.
And she would have to be really good at finding things in order to find things for Meryl.
Especially for the Valkyries that are all written down down or like vocal or what is it? Yeah, vocally written. It's a good segue. Nesta, she's like, when she's talking to Gwen, she's like, you could find another purpose at training. You want to sign up? Like, I am not a warrior. Neither am I, but you could be. Sorry. I like this section because I like that Gwen is telling her about, I like that Nesta's kind of pushing her about this because she's like, why aren't you signing up for training? I want to know.
Yeah.
Gwen says that because she's not a warrior and that she would have gone down that route from birth, which I'm just saying, you can be a warrior anytime you want. Doesn't mean you had to have been born from birth to it.
Right.
I think they think so, but also Nesta's not trying to train them to be warriors, which even though I think that's kind of going to flip, I think they're going to start training and they're going to want to be warriors because they're so interested in it. I mean, even Nesta's like, you could be. It's the idea of you could be versus making somebody do it.
Right. Of like, hey, I mean, kind of like the whole thing of it's your choice, yeah, but I'm also going to push you and encourage you to do this. And who's to say librarians can't be warriors? I mean, my high school friend that I've reconnected with is has done jujitsu and kickboxing almost her entire life, and right now she works at a library. She drives the bookmobile.
Badass. But also, like, the training isn't meant to, it's meant to be defensive training so that you feel protected that if a man tried to do something to you, it wouldn't happen again.
Exactly.
Or to even just to get to know yourself a lot, because physical training can help you learn your breathing, can learn about your body more. Like, it has nothing to do with being a warrior.
Yeah.
Because then Nesta brings up, is it Cassian? Is Cassian the problem? And even though he's a good male, and we all know that, the fact that a big Illyrian male, no matter how nice he is, the idea of being around him could be, because Gwen doesn't say anything, so it's the reason.
Yeah, or more generally, it's a male, and she's been hurt by males, whereas down here she's surrounded by females. She's safe in asylum with females. Males have had hurt her before, so it's the idea of being around a male.
Yeah. So it's like Nesta gets that, so she backs off a little bit, and she's like, could do you good, and whatever.
And he's a nice guy. He won't hurt you.
Oh, yeah, and of course, it's nice that she's defending him down here. She's like, he is nothing but a good male, and it's like, she genuinely thinks that. I will say, though, that when she leaves Gwen, and then she goes back up she's gonna go down the stairs again, I think that when she brings up about how Cassian didn't seem baffled or he didn't seem ruffled at training, she's like, did he not like it? And I'm sitting there like, dude, you're doing the same thing. You cannot say, oh my God, he didn't react to anything that happened the other night when you're also not reacting.
Right.
It is a two-way street, my man. You cannot be mad at him because of that. Well, I don't think she's mad at him. I think it's more like of a woman thing of just, but why didn't, and it's like, but no, you can't say that because you don't either.
The double standard.
No. It's like a little over the top. You do the same. But Nesta goes directly to the stairwell. And this time, I like how when it's described as she takes her time going down it and doesn't it almost seems like all the times before she just was like just running to get to a certain point because she wanted to get it. But this time she took her time and she doubled her number. She went down to 2,000.
Wow.
That is a lot.
That's incredible.
And as soon as she gets to 2,000, she knows exactly what to do about the priestesses. And I'm so happy about this. It actually made me genuinely feel good inside. I know what to do. Yeah. She's so excited. So we get 5 days later. Cassian is in the library at Clotho's desk. It seems like Nesta's a little bit in trouble. Cassian does tell us that he's only seen Clotho a couple times, and he kind of monologues about, the women in this place and how his mom would have benefited from it, and it's very sweet. And he's like, I wonder if Azrael ever pushed his mother to join. And I'm like, I wonder why he hasn't.
Yeah.
I wonder if his mom doesn't want to. If she's so brainwashed into that Illyrian thing that she's like, I don't deserve to be there, or... Yeah. I don't think any Illyrians have been down there. I don't think there's any Illyrians in the library.
No, they're all, at least from what we've seen or heard, they're all high fae.
And the Illyrians are all up at the camps just suffering, so... The thing that I just wanted to say that they keep bringing up Azrael's mom, and I'm like, that she's alive and somewhere. So I just wonder where. What was it, that Rose Hall?
Rose Hall.
Whatever that was. Interesting. We're also just trying to look for anything to give us clues about book 6. We're just like, wait, so... Yeah. Rose Hall, maybe? Azrael's mom? I don't know. So, Clotho, snitches get stitches, bitch. The fact that she's snitching to Cassian about Nesta practicing down in the library. I love how the fact that Clotho brings up, she's like, she's been practicing down here, and then Cassian's like, wow, we haven't had sex for a week. Okay, wait, what were you saying? Like, God, that's such a himbo move.
It is.
But also very sweet. Like, okay, so won't be sex for a while, though. It almost seems like because they had like a sexual encounter that sex isn't going to happen until the next big thing. So it's going to be a bit. I'm thinking.
Probably.
So Cassian's teaching her like these kind of 1-2 punch combinations, and she is doing them in the library. And Clotho's like, that's a no-no. I've told her for like the 5th day in a row to not do that, and she's not listening. So you need to go down there and tell her to stop.
Yeah.
And I love how when he describes the combinations and sets of moves that he's teaching her as kind of dance steps.
Yeah.
It almost seems like it's dancing, which, I mean, for people who haven't fought or danced, like, there is very much a thin line between fighting and dancing.
Which is, fight choreo. It's pretty much dance.
Which is true, which is why I love fighting and dancing, because I'm both. I'm a dancer and a fighter. So I appreciate the attention to detail with the dance steps. Because it helps me. And it seems like Cassian's kind of standing up for Nesta a little bit, like he's telling Clotho, like, is she bothering anybody? Is she, like, is it hindering her work at all? Well, no. Okay, so what's wrong?
What's the problem?
It's distracting the others. And it's like, okay, I guess
so they're watching her fight.
And the fact that he doesn't get this right off the bat, I mean, I didn't get it right off the bat until the end, and I was like, okay, that makes sense.
I didn't catch it.
And I was like, okay, I'll put a stop to it, I guess. And he asked permission to go down there. We love him.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Clotho is the one person you have to get permission from. So it makes sense. But damn, what a good line. When Clotho says to him, she's like, oh, she's on the 5th floor. You do know this is Nesta Artron. Clotho says she has a will of iron. He says of steel. He says, good seeing you, Clotho. You as well, Lord Cassian. You are a lord in good deeds. It is not a title born, but earned.
I agree.
Dang.
This is why we love Clotho.
I think this is the first time somebody's explaining that to him in a way that he can't refute.
Yeah.
Because so many people have brought him up as Lord Cassian in the past, and, he's kind of, no, just Cassian. Or laughed it off. And with her, she's like, you are a lord in title of good deeds. Yeah. Not born. Oh, it's so sweet.
It is.
Cassian can't even say anything to that. He's just like, okay, I will go now. It's like praise, and then he has to leave. So he's watching Nesta through the stacks of seeing her fight, and she's almost like she has like a book in the air, and she's like trying to punch at it, and it's kind of sweet how he's watching her and just laughing, and then cutely, because it's almost like, that's why I'm woman. And she keeps dropping her elbow, which I will say I do understand in fight choreo, like what he's describing, why she's dropping it. And he's like, no, she hasn't been dropping her elbow this whole time. And he startles her. She's like, but it's almost like in this whole scene, it's like and I didn't even notice it at first, she's playing it up so bad.
Yeah.
Like the first thing she says to him is, you're still dropping your elbow. He'd never seen Nesta Artron so ruffled. I assume Clotho sent you to reprimand me. I'm tired of being weak, of depending on others to defend me. It's almost like she's playing it up. It very much seems like that. It's like, I don't need any others to defend me, like she's playing a role, because this isn't normally her. And he notices that too, and it's very unlike her, but he's so heartened by it because it reminds him of Akawar-ness.
Yeah.
Of kind of like the person he fell in love with.
Aww.
It's almost like he's falling in love again.
Aww.
And it's very sweet the way that is described.
So cute.
I should have known it was her putting on an act, but I didn't see it. So he helps her like adjust her stance, shows her some combination moves. He's like, technically we're not supposed to be fighting down here, but it's like, okay,
we're gonna do it anyway.
I will teach you the right way. And he's like asking her permission. Can I move your elbow up here and whatever? And how they normally act in training. And I love when he talks about strategy. I love, it's a very thing she asks. She's like, if you did that to an opponent, they'd be on the ground gasping for air. And she's like, and then I'd make the kill. And then he's like, yes, or a sword through the heart would finish the job. And then he just spits off a bunch of fucking jargon knowledge. On a battlefield, you'd opt for the killing blow with a sword or just leave them there. And it's very technical and not malturistic in a way. Like, it's not bad what he's saying. And it's hot, honestly.
Strategy is hot.
Anytime Cassian talks strategy, I'm just sitting there like, okay, babe.
A guy who knows his shit.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay.
People who know the shit that they're talking about. That's hot.
Mm-hmm. I feel though her not wanting to be a warrior is already changing by the fact of her questioning.
Uh-huh.
She's like, and then I'd make the kill and da-da-da. It's like, this has gone from her wanting to defend herself and feel strong to like her actually asking about battle strategy.
Right.
It's like, are you gonna be the general's wife and a general yourself? I don't know.
Yeah,
Hopefully. But then Cassian turns around and he has an oof moment of all the priestesses up on the fucking railing just looking at them. And he's like, oh. And then he looks. They all scatter except for one person who lingers with red hair and blue eyes because we're in Cassian's perspective. He doesn't know it's Gwen. And she just looks down at Nesta and then retreats last. And then it breaks for Cassian about what she did. And this is where the part where it's like, it seems like he fell in love again.
Yeah.
Honestly, if somebody asked me for a second time where I thought Cassian fell in love with Nesta, I'm going to say it's this one. I'm going to say he fell in love with her again here.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, I kind of fell for this, but I'm not mad.
It almost seems like Cassian and Nesta are a second chance romance. I think so. When you call it in the fandom, I'm going to guess it's second chance. Because normally that happens where like somebody breaks their heart and normally.
Yeah.
Which kind of happens. But this is very much enemies to lovers, but also second chance.
Yeah. It's also really smart, Nesta.
Yes. Get Cassian down here because he knew Clotho wasn't going to allow him, if it wasn't for an emergency, to make Clotho so mad that she had to bring him down here to see, so that the priestesses could see how he interacted with Nesta and know that he was good.
I will say, at first I was thinking that Nesta had like asked Clotho, like, hey, can you like call him down here? And tell him I'm in trouble.
Well, it also seemed like Clotho was kind of in on the plan.
Yeah.
Like, from what it seems like. And obviously Cassian is completely in awe over her plan.
And proud. Very proud.
And it seems like, so then we switch to Nesta's POV, and then she goes up at the end of her day at the library, and nothing is on the piece of paper. And the thing is, Clotho even seems a little bit distraught. She's like, I wished that somebody signed the sheet.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like Clotho is not in her corner at all. Like, if anything, she wanted that to happen.
Because it's basically, like, think about it, she's like, nuns, how, like, there's the main, like, sister, the main mother.
Oh,
And it's like, so these are basically her family in a way. They're under her care. She wants them to get better. And she sees this as an opportunity for them to get better.
Because she found her purpose.
Yeah.
In doing this. Like, she doesn't feel like she needs to train to get past anything.
Right.
Like, it seems like she's content.
Right.
Versus the others aren't. And so it is kind of sad that Clotho's like, oh, I wish that somebody did.
But it also only just happened today. They probably need to sleep on it.
I think she was wanting it to be immediate, but...
Yeah.
And I love how Nesta is taking this as her one shot to do something meaningful. That's why, like, she's so upset about it not happening. Because this is, like, the one thing that she's doing some good for. And that's purely just trying to do good and not do it for any other means.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's failing, it seems like, okay, I tried my best at this, and it doesn't seem like I didn't succeed. So what's the point in doing anything else because I'm just a fucking failure the whole time?
Right.
Like, if I can't do this and if I can't win their favor, how am I going to win anyway?
Right.
So she goes down the staircase again. And the thing is, because she's a little bit regressing, again, I love the metaphor of the stairwell. She only goes 900 because she's sad again.
Only.
And so she's regressing a little bit. So she's not pushing herself because she's like, ugh, what's the...
Right.
And then she comes back, and what is on her nightstand? This is cute as fuck. This is like romance for sure. This is cute. It is called The Dance of Battle. And she's like, what the fuck is this? This isn't romance. Why'd you leave this for her? She thinks the house left it for her. And the house like throws down a bunch of romance books like, this is what I would have picked.
These are my choices. That's not mine.
That's not mine. And then she picks it up very Faye-like and smells it. And it's Cassian's scent on it. And it's his book. She didn't want to read that shit. And then as soon as she knew that it was from him, it was like, she just reads it all night long.
Yeah. For once not staying up all night reading smut.
Also, a man who can read.
A man who has book recommendations? Oh my god.
Do you want to explain to the audience what just happened? Because I don't know if I can explain it without embarrassing myself.
It's in a book or a guy that has book recommendations. She took a sip of water and it spilled all over her chin and chest. You thirsty much?
Dude. A man who can read and has book recommendations. Hot recommendations about battle strategy. I don't think she realized how much he was into strategy until this book, and that just made him 10 times hotter to her.
Yep, and made you into him even more.
I didn't think it could go up any further. And he's still fucking so shocked. So anyway, I do appreciate though when she reads it is that explains how it's very similar to the social manipulation her mother taught her all the way back in the day about, manipulating the social structures and how, like, social warfare is how it was very similar to on the battle strategy. And she is saying that Cassian is very different than the generals in the book because the generals say that you should be at the back of the pack when Cassian fights on the front lines with his men.
He's leading the charge.
Which is not something in the strategy world of warfare that a general would be at the front.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want them to be in harm's way.
Although, written in literally all of the movies and like books typically, the general and leaders are at the front going, charge!
Yeah, but in very much like, I think, ancient fantasy warfare, they want them at the back. It's more strategic that way, so they don't get killed.
Or somewhere in the middle.
It does matter to Nesta if the priestesses don't sign up, because she's writing so much on this. Mm-hmm. And so I just love how this end of this section and the end of our deep dive, she's very much trudging in. I like the visual of trudging in. I don't even want to look because there's not going to be anything there. And then Clotho just beaming.
It's like on the one day that she's given up that she's not going to look. That's when it happens.
Mm-hmm. It's like she halted, upraised hand. What? Points. Oh, the how much giddy she got?
Yeah.
Which is what our quote was. Nesta whirls on her heel, looks at the board in big letters. Gwen. Hey. Yay! Gwen, dude. We knew that.
But still, it's nice to see it finally up there, like our first trainee sign up.
We knew that was going to happen, but also I'm happy it's her. Because if anybody, she's really the one who's been the most, I don't want to say forthcoming to Nesta, but also the one who seems like the most warrior-like.
Uh-huh. And the one who
of her priestess sisters.
Who seems like she wants to move past her trauma that she's been through.
Right. And if Gwen is kind of their leader of sorts, like if she's kind of their social butterfly, I could imagine her doing it is going to make others want to do it.
And on top of that, I don't think Gwen really belongs under that mountain.
No, she needs to be out.
Yeah. She's too bright to be under there.
I know. They've talked about her glowing before, so I don't know.
She, also, I think she and Nesta are gonna be fast friends.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with this now.
Especially if they're gonna be training together, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And maybe Azrael will make some more appearances.
And
he'll move past the lane. Yeah, he'll move past the lane and realize that he wants a redhead instead.
Please, God.
Yeah, and then me and Gwen would be cute. So now we're going to move on to our second section where we talk about the graphic audio. It has been a very long time. Since it's been a while since we've released an episode, since we've recorded. Tabi did the whole Romanticy-Con thing, spending some time with some graphic audio people. And so yeah, we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of, clearly there was a lot of sex. I have not listened to Silver Flame yet, but I did catch up on, I listened to Frost and Starlight.
You did?
I did.
How did that go? We'll have to do a live stream where you can react to Frost and Starlight, so we can have your graphic audio reaction to that. Maybe we can do that.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. But that means that very soon I'll be starting on the graphic audio for Silver Flames, which I am ready for. I think I'm ready for it.
Are you? Because I wasn't ready.
I'm saying that now that I think I'm ready for it. Probably once I get into it, I'll be like, I was not ready for this. But I want you to give me a preview of what happens with this. So
let me just preface all this by saying that because we talked to John last episode,
it definitely was good that we talked to John before
the sex.
before recording this episode, before having to talk about the graphic audio of this episode. So
be able to look at him without
I totally get it. So let's get into it. Take it away.
So we started the top of chapter 18. Again, I love the start of going down the stairwell because again, graphic audio does this thing where it's, it doesn't stop at chapter names. It doesn't say chapter da-da-da. It literally goes in from the last chapter. So it was kind of hard to stop there if you're following along that way.
Uh-huh.
And so anytime the stairwell scene happens, it's very good. And let me preface this. I'm going to move sort of quickly through these just because I don't want to spend... If you want more reactions of me getting all girly about this shit, please let me know. I want to savor you guys and your guys' minds because I could go on for hours about all this.
Yes.
So I will literally just go through my notes of pinpoints of what this where I found these moments. When she gets back up to the top of the stairwell and he says that John says very gently as Cassian, what are you upset about? Like, it's so genuine and so heartwarming that I'm like, it just makes me want to say the answer.
Right, like what set you off?
And it's honestly, I think this is her first sign of vulnerability from Natalie as Nesta when she's like, I don't want to hear about anyone's journey. Like, she gets very upset and very raw.
Yeah.
And I think that's our first time seeing her do this with him present. Damn it. That fucking John monologue of him talking about his mom. It's like, I killed everybody. I don't regret it. I'm like, you shouldn't.
They deserved it.
Yes. Like him talking about his mom dying and how recent as like killed them all. It's like, okay. And the fucking line, dude, the like, I can take whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
But it was the fact that John made it so it wasn't harsh. He said, I won't break.
It's okay. I can take it.
Yes.
I won't break.
It was very much like that. And damn. God.
Damn, okay.
Also, I love, and I think we talked about this with Natalie at the end of our episode, I love whenever she calls him an arrogant bastard. I love how they made it that movie moment. Yeah. That's why I said that in the notes, because she's like, you're an arrogant bastard. And he's like, and you're a haughty bitch. And then he lets her go, and then immediate makeout.
Because that's how it happens.
Exactly what happens in the movies. Oh my God. Also, with John being an on-camera actor, it kind of like feeds into that a lot. He's definitely going with the movie.
Yeah.
Movie also, top of chapter 19. I love the fucking music. It's not sexual, but it's the raw essence of the scene being emotional, of a first time again. Because again, they kissed before, but it's very much, oh my God, this is happening.
Yeah.
Again.
Kind of that second chance you talked about.
Yeah. Very much more magical than the first time.
Yeah.
Also, John's breathing throughout this whole entire section. I'm just like, in every other sex scene, it's like,
breathing defines the scene. Breathing absolutely defines the scene.
It does. And I'm just sitting there like, okay.
Jaw dropped, shock face.
And then Natalie's laugh, she's like, it's like, dang. But Cassian, that does not bode well for him. I like the boyishness of John. During all of his sex scenes, I love the boyishness of when Cassian speaks. There was at some point where he gets very breathy and he's like, you like that? And I'm sitting there and I'm just like,
you're like, yeah, I do.
Not even in the scene. I'm like, yeah, I do.
I like what you're doing right now. I like this.
It's so good. I love the boyishness of, because it's also, that's the confirmation that he wanted, and that's why he says it like.
Yeah.
Also, the music of the unleashing was fucking beautiful and romantic. There was this big crescendo moment of just him unleashing on her. And it was like, oh, because like obviously it's sexy, but it wasn't just like wow music. Right. It had a place. And also, dude, Colleen owned this narration. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this whole part where they're not even speaking to each other and it's just whenever you hear Cassian did this or did that, she had the sex tied into it. She had the sexual nature to it. She's like, yeah, he pulled me. It was really, it just fit. I didn't feel weird at all that it's like I heard her and then sex and then it heard her again. Yeah. Like, it just fit.
I think now that I have listened to Frost and Starlight, I've finally heard Colleen. I finally heard her voice, and yeah, it was a little weird at first, having to get used to that, but I totally see what you were talking about with that, and just in general, how she takes on their personas incredibly well.
Yeah. Again, did I bring up the breathing again? Yeah, I did. Their breathing is epic. Also, dude, the boyishness of him coming in his pants was fucking hilarious. I'm not gonna lie.
So let's see. The focusing on the sex is the boyishness and the breathing. Got it.
Yes, it's my notes. Don't judge me.
I'm not judging. I'm enjoying.
But yeah, it was very much like, damn. And it's like, you could hear it. And then, oh my God, with the Az and Cass scene tiptoeing around each other was pretty priceless. Of him just being like, Azrael being very, very snarky this episode. He was just like, so, anything happen? And Cassian's like, nope.
Popping the pee.
The tiptoeing down each other was pretty funny.
Nope.
Also, the immediate shift when Elaine is mentioned, fucking good job, Sean, but also that was annoying. Because the immediate shift of like him joking with Cassian about all this stuff happening and then just being like, what happened to Elaine? Shut up. Like, I love you, Sean, but also Azrael as a character, please shut up.
We don't need to talk about her.
We don't need to talk. That had nothing to do with it anyway.
You don't need to talk about her, Azrael, dear.
God. So then, I haven't mentioned this in a little while, but but I do like mentioning it every now and then. Like top of chapter 20 when they're flying down to the house. Mm-hmm. I do like hearing the wings in the wind.
Yeah.
I mean, every time, there's so many times, whenever it says his wings moved or something, you can always hear it.
Yeah.
So I enjoy hearing the wings because they're very leathery. It's how you know that they're Illyrians.
Yeah, and then specifically, like, they're flying, and it almost makes you feel like the whole point is you're right there with them. You can hear them wrestling.
Yeah, and it feels awkward knowing that they're in the air and that she's holding her.
Yeah.
And also, I'm just thinking to myself this chapter, because for the next 2 chapters, we get to see, it's like the gang's here together. We got Amren, Rhysand, Feyre. It's like we're getting to hear Melody, Anthony, Nora again.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have them, because we don't get to hear them too often in this book.
Right.
So when Briellen's name is mentioned, the music, when Nesta hears it, it's very sharp and very, like, dun-dun level of, oh crap. Because this is really the first time she's getting brought into the mix about Briellen.
Right. Props that she's finally getting some info.
Because now they need her. Also, You're Gonna Die. We love getting to hear Sean speak more because he monologues for like half a page in this one where he's talking about what's going on. And he's debriefing them. He has a very nice voice.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my canon now, it's very Asriel. So it's not like harder as John's is. It's very soft, but also can have its sharp moments. She's like...
It's very dark.
Also, Nora, Amren... I don't know what it is about your voice, girl, but like I'm talking to her, like she's listening. She is so good at giving like an old-timey lore dump. Yeah. Like she has the best voice for lore dumps, like.
And she's done it before too.
Back in the time before time began, like some bullshit like that. She can make anything sound cool and epic when doing a lore dump, honestly.
Back before the courts were really the courts. Back when the dinosaurs walked across the Feylands of Frith.
Honestly, the monologue I was singing in my head was the Optimus Prime one at the beginning of Transformers, where he's like, before time began, there was the Q.
Yeah.
I don't know why Transformers got into my brain, but that's what I was thinking.
It is the opening model.
Yeah. So Nora does such a good job in her Amren disposition, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And also, we love to hear our boy Anthony again. Holla. Yes. Even though he's being very protective.
Yes.
But we don't get to hear him too. He doesn't get many lines in this one. If anything, Amren gets more lines.
Yeah.
But he's just like, hey, yo. Every time I hear him and his voice drops, I'm just like, please, God.
It's like, it's been a while, but damn, you gotta do me like that.
I don't know if I can hear both of you guys in the same chapter for too long, because we just got from like this haughty sex scene to this. I need you to back off a little bit, Anthony. I can't have 2 of you being the male focuses. And I do love how John stands up the line where it's almost like John almost had it sound like he didn't even mean to say it. Like it was very much an abrupt, well, why does she need to? It almost like it came out without feeling like it's almost like he didn't mean to say it, but it just came out anyway. I love the worthy line. Colleen says it. It's not Natalie, but it was something along the lines of, Cassian looked at me like I was worthy. Like when she said that, I loved the point on that line.
Yeah.
Colleen delivered it really well. Also, I'm not gonna lie, when he starts war-splaining about, well, if she gets this and she gets that, then she's gonna be unstoppable or whatever, I had that moment of, okay, I need to go back. What were you saying?
Right.
I have no idea what you were talking about, but you sounded hot when you did it.
And I got distracted on that.
I did. So, I'm sorry.
But also, thank you. And then now, thank you again. Go back.
Thank you. Next. But also, honestly, as we're going to chapter 21, Karina, we love you. I'm just going to say this. We love you. We might not like Elaine's character, but you honestly make it so we like her.
You give her a redemption point.
Yeah. Also, having her stand up for herself a little bit was nice.
Yeah.
When she's like, I'm not a child, da-da-da. Like, it was good. And I love her quote. She made the Elaine quote really good about the trauma thing.
Yeah.
About her saying, of what my trauma did to you. She did it really emotionally well. I thought it was really good. And then, obviously, when Feyre tells them that she's pregnant, immediately, you don't even hear the narration, you just hear, woohoo! And it's John in the background saying...
A moment of silence and then, yes!
Yeah, and it's so... And then the music shifts and then it's now in this scene of like wholeheartedness and then he picks up Feyre and da-da-da and then he claps on... You can hear all that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you bastard. And they change so swift and it's so good. I also love the God help this child line because he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I could feel Natalie turn her head to him. Excuse me?
Excuse me? What do you say about that?
The music at the end of that scene, before the like Feyre and her talk, she's like, what choice do I have? I loved the music there because it brought the scene back down to where the crux of Nesta being like, shit, I gotta do this because no one else is going to. Right. Feyre can't do it. Amryn can't do it.
We don't trust Elaine to do it.
Well, we don't, but she doesn't want Elaine in harm's way, so she has, like, what choice do I have?
Yeah. You always have a choice. It doesn't feel like it.
No, it doesn't feel like it when you know that I would rather put myself in harm's way than Elaine.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, yes, as Nesta's making her way to the front door and you hear Feyre come in, when you hear, like, it's a boy, it's like, I bet that it's almost like the line gets cut off because Feyre says, I think Rhys is telling the boys now. And then you hear Cassian and Azriel go, yay! Like, they, like, celebrate. They're like, yes, yes! About it being a boy.
I'm just picturing Azriel getting excited.
He is. You hear him.
Aww.
It's so sweet. You don't hear just Cassian. It's both.
Yay.
And honestly, the whole Nesta Feyre talk at the end was very raw and I liked it. I liked how it seemed like at every point Natalie was trying to shut it down, but Melody was trying to push it. She's like, no, Nesta, that's not what I mean. And at some point she just got defeated. It's like, that's like I'm trying to just do something nice and you're just shutting it down at any point.
Right.
And then they leave. And then that's their dynamic. And that's, it leaves it so much left unsaid.
Yeah.
That's why it makes it so weird.
Right.
So then, going into chapter 22.
Oh, I see lots of notes for this one.
They're quick though, but they're just a lot of little ones going down the line.
Yeah. I see a lot of goddamn John, Nesta. Love John.
Shut up.
I tease, but I also understand.
I know. He's my boy. Let me have this fucking book, and then you can have his book when it comes out.
Yes, and I know I'll get teased for that too. It's just funny because I think these are more Johns than I've ever seen more than Anthony's.
I think so. I think in this scene specifically, yeah.
Yeah.
So I love the establishing shot of before, like, you even hear the narration, the fire crackling. Because it's also a juxtaposition, too, of, like, Nesta not having that.
Yeah.
Of you hearing the fire crackling with them. And I do love snarky Azriel. I love throughout this whole scene, he's just kind of like, you know, this is what Nesta needs to do. It's like, you get to see Azriel in a different way than most people have seen him.
Yeah. We're seeing him out with Cassian season.
Yeah, and so I kind of love how we get to see him like that.
Sassy.
I also love the pause before they're changing subject, because it says that Cassian gets really threatening looking at Azriel, where he's like, don't push this. Don't push Nesta. And then there's very much this good pause, and then, oh boy, like, okay, let's go back to something else where we don't butt heads about this. It made it awkward, but then it made it seem like seamless.
Yeah. Made it seem like Azriel's thinking like, okay, I'll let this simmer for a moment.
Yeah, we're done for this for a second. And then yes, I love, it was Azriel's line. He said, a boy. He was like so happy about it, and he was so, I loved it.
He'll teach him how to throw snowballs.
I know. He'll teach him how to win.
Yeah, he's gonna be better at snowball fights than all three of them combined.
They're gonna have like the hottest uncles, and it's like gonna be like, yeah, that's who my uncles are. The Vat Boys. Get every chick in school.
It's like, just imagine like this boy getting like picked on even one moment, and then it's like, well, I'll call my uncles then. It's like, well, who are your uncles? It's like Cassian and Azriel. And it's like, oh shit, sorry man.
Never mind.
Dust off the shirt.
Honestly, it'd be like, I'll call my aunt. Who's that? Nesta Archeron. No.
And if Nesta's involved, then probably Cassian will follow, and then Rhys and Azriel will find out.
Don't fuck with this kid. Yeah, no. You got powerful people backing you, man. Yeah. And I loved the Azriel line of, it doesn't matter what I want. He hit that good. Doesn't matter what I want.
So curious.
It was so sad, but also it was cute. And then, honestly, I loved the music and him thinking about Nesta. It almost sounded like he was falling into, like, his own mind. Like, the music was very much like, he's not listening to anything, and he's like, it almost sounded like the music of, it's, you know, life is too short, don't take it for granted. And so that's the music it sounded like. And then it transitioned to this very much TikTok-y sound of like, you need to make up your mind if you're going to do this or not. And then you hear the very abrupt, get up, turn a blind eye, chaperone. What a fucking line. He just gets so like down in his depth about it. He's like, turn a blind eye, chaperone. And I'm sitting there like, because I know what's coming, but also like, I'm not prepared for what's coming.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God. I thought the funniest part about the opening of their sex scene was when he gets in the door, and then she's like, what?
What do you want? Why are you here?
She says it like a couple times. She's like, what? And she sounds very Valley when she says it. And it's so funny that she sounds like that, because then the roughness of John's voice at, I've never seen you with your hair down. I'm like...
You sounded very similar to Natalie just now.
Did I?
Yeah.
I guess so.
While trying to be John.
I know. Well, I guess I can do Natalie and Amron's, like, sound like them, but not like any of us.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He was just, it's almost like it's almost like he couldn't say it. He was like breathing too hard. He's like, I've never seen you with your hair down. It was too, like.
Very breathy, very excited.
Yes. And I'm like, God damn it, John. The fucking lines that I said earlier about, he's like, the only part that I regretted was that I didn't get on my hands and knees.
The only mistake was that you left before I could get on my knees.
Or that before I could taste you. Those two lines. Yeah. I'm sitting there like Nesta, like.
So you made two mistakes, so we're gonna fix that, right?
I don't know what to. And then just the monologuing, and then the breathiness of Nesta. Like, it was like, please say yes to me, because if not, it's gonna be hard for me to walk out this door right now.
Yeah.
If you say no. It was I liked it a lot. The just sex line, oh, that was rough, because it was like going really well, and then all of a sudden she's like, just sex, and then he goes, just sex, with no confidence at all, but just yeah, I guess so.
I was like, okay, yes, just sex.
Not believing it at all. Whatever. And then the unleashing, I loved the music of the kiss. It was very romantic, very pretty music, but also very striking music. And just honestly, the whole scene, the breaths, the moans, everything was spot on. Every moment where it said it did. And just the fact that, like, whenever he talks during the sex scene, it's just like, I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna lie to you, I almost laughed my ass off. So as soon as you hear he's about to eat her out, and like the wings, and you see him lowering himself down.
Yeah.
I don't know what that fucking music was, but it was cello Game of Thrones music. It was very much like
Oh God.
And it was so good. It fits so well. Because it was very much like, it almost seemed like it was happening to her for the first time, like what we said. Furthering into the fact that maybe she's never like had someone eat her out.
Okay.
It felt like that. And obviously with it being Cassian, it was just 10 times better.
Right.
And so the very striking cello music, I'm sitting there like, what, is he killing her? I was like, that's what is happening. She says that the world is fracturing and whatever the fuck.
Oh, so very dramatic.
Yes. I'm also left feeling what the fuck by the end of just being like him putting his shirt on, we're even, and then out the door. I'm sitting, I feel, okay, I was not prone on the ground like Nesta. But the thing is, I'm sitting there in my chair going prone, just sitting there being like, that's it?
All that build up and this is it?
No.
Get back here, bastard.
Get back here and I cannot believe I wrote that in my notes. I was like, I did not care.
Is that a new Tabiism?
Get back here and fuck me. Yeah. Write that on a shirt and get it all demonetized.
Oof.
So then the chapter 23, I thought the music was very romantic and longing at the top. Mm-hmm. Because obviously he's describing these very like crude things. Whatever. He pumped himself dry or whatever, but it's very romantic the way he's describing about how this encounter went.
Yeah.
I love the as chaperone moment. I love how he's just like, did anything happen last night? Or am I interrupting anything? Or no. I loved the sparring music. I thought the sparring music was really good. It was almost like a beat of a drum. Like it was drum beats of like, like it was very rhythmic. And the fighting sequence was well written. I also thought it was well done by Colleen in the terms of how it was like, okay, and then he did this and da-da-da. Like it was said like that instead of slow.
Right.
And also competitive as. He's like, no, we don't go until one of us eats dirt. And I'm like, okay, man.
Okay.
All right.
Gonna get me giggling over here.
Oh yeah, dude, you're gonna die. Even though like this isn't Azrael's book, like you are gonna die by this book. Okay, I'm just gonna let you know. I also love how the transition between Cassian's POV to Nesta's POV in the library was Gwen's humming. It was very like it's like she's walking up to her and Gwen doesn't know that she's there.
Yeah.
And then it's what's Do you know the Dread Trove? And it's like, wait, what? Also, the music at Nesta imagining Azrael and Cassian worshiping her, that was sexy music. That was like all right, I'm ready for that. But I'm just picturing myself. I'm not picturing Nesta.
Of course.
Oh, when when Nesta's describing how she's already had a threesome, and she's like, Elaine would be so baffled that Nesta had not only had a threesome, but twice already.
Wow.
Like, Elaine could not imagine having a three-way.
No.
Nah. She'd be the one to show up to the orgy and be like, I think I'll just sit back and watch.
Dude, I've seen like so many fan arts of people saying, why fight over it? Just have her between Lucian and Azrael. It's like, no.
No, that'd be weird.
That would be.
Lucian and Azrael would be weird.
They would clash.
Lucian is too romantic, and then Azrael's just fucking feral.
Right, and then Elaine doesn't deserve either of them. She can go find her own human males to have a threesome with.
Yeah, that'll be the best lay of their life, but be the worst of hers.
Yeah, true.
And I loved the change in the stairwell scene. I loved how it got more... I love how because the stairwell scene changed to her reaching bigger steps, like as she reached to 2000, it was more... The stairwell scene itself was more steady and grounded and not breathless. Like Colleen, the other times, it was very like breathless. Like, okay, I'm trying to get down, like Nesta... But this time it was very steady, and Nesta took her time going down the stairwell, and then she reached number 2000. Like, it was very steady. And then Eureka moment, it felt. And then the end, chapter 24. I loved the top of it because before the narration started, all you hear was like Clotho's ink pen on paper.
Yeah.
Of like, you hear writing. It's like, okay, are you talking to me? Like, it was almost like Cassian was in trouble waiting for her to say something first.
Yeah.
And I loved that thing from... Technically, Clotho's voice is Colleen's. Clotho herself doesn't have her own voice.
Right, that makes sense.
Colleen. She says, a title earned. It's very warm, and I love that line. I love how it's delivered.
Yeah.
And then, as Cassian's making his way down to hearing Nesta, you just hear her huffing and puffing, and you hear this training montage music we've heard before, of her just being like, and whatever. And then him startling her, she's like,
Over dramatic.
Yeah, honestly, Natalie owned this scene with sounding over dramatic right off the gate. But the thing is, if you don't know it the first time, you wouldn't think that. You'd think it was just her being pumped up and excited. But because we know that it was, her living it up, it was just like, show me how to do it. Like, and, she's like, I'm tired of having others defend me. It was very played up.
I feel like that could also just be for the priestesses who are watching as well, of like, I'm tired of people defend me. It's like, what if some of them feel that way?
That's exactly why she said it.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't say that at all, normally. She says it in her head, but not ever out loud.
She's having them, like, try and picture themselves in this moment.
Also, the music at Cassian getting reminded of old Nesta felt like the falling in love again music. It felt like that. He's just, like, looking at her. Oh, I love this one. Also, hearing the combinations was fun. He's like, give me a 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 1, 2, or whatever. It was very fun.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Honestly, yeah, true. Also, I loved the music at Cassian monologuing, the very battle strategy monologue of like, oh, if this would happen and da-da-da,
Very factual.
Yeah, very factual. It wasn't hot. He said in a very professional way.
Which was good for the moment.
Yes. Imagine saying, it wasn't hot, but, I was still turned on.
I know. I didn't think those words could come from your mouth.
I know, but I still have to say that, his voice is hot. Then, of course, going further, like, there wasn't really much different by the end of the chapter, except between Nesta getting the book, The Dance of Battle, or whatever the hell that was called, and then, that is The Dance of Battle.
Yeah.
And then the transition between her reading it all night, you heard, like, the book closing.
And
it was like, Nesta read the book all night, and it was a seamless transition, I like.
That's cool.
And the music at the end, where the whole Gwen revelation comes in, put me to tears. I cried the other night when I read it. Because I was like, you could feel Nesta's excitement, and you could hear it in the narration of just like, Nesta rolled on her heel, and it's like, one name written in bold letters, Gwen. And it was said so prettily and done so well that I was just like, Gwen, yes, bitch.
Yes, bitch. Where's my napkin? Where's my handkerchief? Yes, bitch.
Oh my god, like you
Yes, queen.
That made the scene. That made the end of that scene. The whole time in the narration beforehand, it was Nesta being, or Colleen, but Nesta being very down on herself about this not happening.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get this triumphant music at the end, like, no, I did something right and I won.
Yeah.
I got one person.
This is a start.
And even if it probably is just one person, I think Nesta's gonna use that. That is a success.
That's like, I succeeded in getting one person to join.
Even if it was just 1%. And I appreciate that wholeheartedly. I love this. I'm excited to see where this goes. Yes, that is the end of our graphic audio section. Again, we love the graphic audio people so much. It is crazy how we're all just friends now. It's a little wild every now and then. So please, if you want to hear more of our graphic stuff, I mean, I think we should do a live stream with Liesl to see her reaction to Frost and Starlight. So if you'd be interested in that, let us know. And yeah, so this is our end of our episode, and we will be going into chapters 25 to the end of chapter 29 next week. Definitely going to get more interesting as we go on. We're definitely getting into the sexual tension. Not only just that, but when are they going to have sex? But honestly, this was definitely satisfying. Even if it wasn't sex, I was in it.
She got satisfied finally.
Yes. Yes, she did. But yes, if you have any friends that like ACOTAR or, want to start reading ACOTAR, our podcast is very good for people who want to start reading it. So go ahead and rate and review us on Spotify, wherever you listen to Apple Podcasts. Please follow our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're starting that up again. And we're getting some good response. We're getting comments. So thank you all for those things.
Yes.
We are still trying to figure out Patreon. We're trying to figure that out in the next week or so to figure out if we're even going to do that anymore. If we're going to try to move it to Discord or whatever sort of membership so that you guys can get a better deal than what Patreon is kind of giving.
Uh-huh.
So, we'll also send stuff out for that, but just keep your eyes out for all that.
Mm-hmm. I just also wanted to add on to that for TikTok, YouTube. We've been posting more on that. For those, please subscribe so that we can start getting our memberships up. Because unfortunately we can't start our memberships on those until we have a certain amount of subscribers. Which sucks, but I suppose that's how it works. So that would be helping us out a lot so that it could help you guys get even better content from us.
Right.
So just wanted to put that out there as well.
Yeah, please do. And we hope you guys have a great, wonderful whenever you're reading this. And we'll see you guys next time.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, guys.
Bye.